Are the Jimmy boys here or are they gone? Sorry about the chat. That didn't take as long as I thought it would, actually. They wanted me to move a bunch of systems. And then I asked them, "Can you check the wire?" And they didn't want to check the wire, so I checked the wire. It was just unplugged. Small thing. It's fixed. It's fine. It's good. Missy is so cute. Can I pet that dog? You can. My dog is very very cute. She's a small Chihuahua. She's maybe like a foot long. She's not that long. She's a very very. She's smaller than even like a normal Chihuahua. So she's very small. But hey, welcome back. And again, thank you for the raid. You don't have to stay if you don't want to. I've given the analogy of the. I really should have like a you don't have to stay kind of command of like, okay, if you raid, you don't have to stay. It's like the Lord of the Rings, Army of Man. You know they're like done. But thanks for showing up, everyone. It was a ton of fun. So it was good. We're gonna actually going to be moving on now, away from the games into the more, I guess, like the Resident Sleeper section of the stream. Hey, Knife, welcome as well. And thank you for joining as well. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. Going towards programming. If you don't like programming, you're absolutely free to leave. This is a very very niche topic. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's very hard to explain what this is, and it's very hard to sort of like parse because there's so much stuff going on. And it's a project that we've been working on for I want to say 2 days now. To be fair, you've seen no progress, so maybe you're here for the first time seeing it, and you'll be just fine looking at nothing happening. But just in case, I want to make sure that everyone's aware. It's gonna be boring, but it's already kind of boring. I also promised chat, so I can't not do this because I promised them all. Just give me a second to set things up. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I didn't expect Lethal Company to be the way that it was. It's very different now as a game. There's a lot more stuff in the game now. Surprisingly fully featured. It's good. I also did not expect all that new stuff to happen as well, like the car. That was a very solid vehicle moment. I really enjoyed seeing what happens when we put somebody, because it doesn't matter who's in charge of the car, right? It's always going to be funny. It's always going to be a fun time. Let's see, we go over here. And yeah, there's going to be no explanation for what is this like thing that we're going to be doing. The sandbox stuff is, you can think of it as kind of a programming game, and it's more of a game engine than like anything. It's a bit of a full environment for making games. It looks very similar to what you'd see from, say, Unity 3D, but not so much the same. It has some niceties about it. That's very interesting. But the reason why we're doing this today is because I promised chat that we'd be programming. So I should probably tell the people, because I think people wanted to like know. Sorry, still setting things up, so you can't see anything yet. We are programming. Yeah, I'm glad that people had the fun. That was a surprisingly funny time too. I did not expect the car to go as chaotically as I did, and it was fun to be run over. But welcome to the programming stream. We're gonna be doing some things today in this programming stream. Okay, I've had some ideas of what to do, and I think we can even expand what we had for the MVP. I know that's risky, but I think it's possible for us to go even a bit further than what we initially planned. Yeah, as long as we keep it simple, I think it's fine. Yeah, sure, load. Doesn't matter. What? Bring this over. Sorry about that. Trying to get the all the windows over. There's one more over here. There we go. Because I think we want to aim for a game that's much more fully featured. What I realized in making this stuff and planning it out is that while the game itself would be fairly straightforward to make, I wonder if it would be fun. Because as much as it would be fun for me to have random people like pushing snowballs, I think we can do a bit more with the entire concept. Oh god, I didn't switch over properly. There we go. And I think that concept makes a lot of sense. IMO. But there we go. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how it all goes. It's going to be very interesting to see how the entire system works. It's going to be very fascinating to see how well this engine works with what we're trying to do. Oh god, let me bring back the music. Especially with the idea that we have. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can actually finish everything in one day. So that's why today is more of a Resident Sleeper day, like low tempo, very, very low energy, because A, it's kind of late in the day for me. So we only have like 3 hours to get all of this done, but it should be okay. Now, code Doom to run on Noggy's brain. I don't think it has enough power. There's not enough CPU power in there. You need something a bit more fully featured, right? You need something more robust. Even a toddler's brain would do. But not Noggy's. No. For those of you who are new, we're making a game about rolling snowballs to make snowmen. The key is that anybody can roll your snowball against you or with you. And to roll a larger snowball, you must run a train on somebody to combine your pushing power to roll the snowball. More robust, like an electronic pregnancy test. That's an impressive sentence. That's a sentence that you've never seen before, right? You could do a Google search for that sentence and you wouldn't find anything. Never mind. The 5 best pregnancy tests of 2024 reviews by Wirecutter. That's that's we're gonna ignore that. That's a great. I don't think they should be writing reviews of pregnancy tests. Let's just anyway. So the game is about pushing snowballs. You have to run a train on people to push a snowball. I think we need to move some of these nice to haves up into the actual have to haves. Okay, the camera system for taking screenshots. I realize this is going to be easier than expected because all you really need to do is put a camera in and you're good to go. This is nice in particular for I guess content creation. I know it's weird to plan features like that, but I think it works. That was only partly a joke. Apparently, Doom has been made to run an electronic pregnancy test. What? Why am I even why am I? I'm like, why am I even surprised, right? It's one of those things. It's like that meme of like, you can do anything. Oh my god, what the fuck? What? That's impressive. We've gone too far. We've gone too far, right? At some point, you have to ask yourself, why do we do this? See, no lie, my guy. Okay, to be fair, I shouldn't have doubted you in the first place, right? It's like that whole meme of like Doom can run on anything. You ever see the one with the toaster? There's like a Doom toaster. There's like a bunch of these actually. We're playing Doom with like toasters. This one how to mod any PC, any toaster to control PC games in 3 easy steps. And obviously, it's been done within Minecraft. Did you see the Minecraft within Minecraft thing? That one's always fascinating to see. But this is a great way to play Doom. Have 2 toasters. You want to churn? You gotta press this stuff. It's just this guy has 4 toasters. I don't know why he's 4 toasters. That's a lot of toasters. You know what? It's a dark magic when you're able to do this stuff, right? Because you did. It's crazy what people can do with the redstone in Minecraft. Yep. And it's crazy too because because it's Minecraft, right? The people doing this stuff are like 5-year-olds. So your average 5-year-old has made more games than we have so far, and we need to break that trend in this stream. Okay. Hey, Mod, welcome back. What we're going to be doing is this. Okay, we're going to move some things up. I think our plan still works in the long run for what we initially planned with the stuff. We can still get the same amount of things done in one day, but I want to try to get at least the camera system going as well. So I want to get the posing system in as well, just the emote system in the game, so it's like fun, tied into the idea of the idea of being able to like take a nice fancy picture of your creation. Kindergarten supremacy. Your fellow kindergartners are better than you at most things. Yes. I also think we need to implement the idea of just items around the map as well as the piss. So all of this, I think, is very important to have. Otherwise, it doesn't work. They play Roblox on iPad now. Oh no, they're coming in hard. Sticky. Narf is coming in sticky and hot. Sticky and hot. Sticky. Narf is coming in sticky and hot. Welcome, chat. And welcome, Narf. Once again, please do follow Nagi and the Narf and Grumpy Megane. It was a lot of fun playing Lethal Company with them. It was very, very funny when you drove. I really enjoyed your driving skills. That was really good. That was probably my favorite moment. That and the Easter egg. Perfect. And hard, too. Man. How much of your drink were you going for? You can't wait to watch that driving clip. What's funny is that while you were driving, that whole thing happening, I was stuck in the back of the truck. Like the truck was spinning and then I was spinning and I was like, oh god, I don't know what's like going on. You're so drunk. Hey, at least it was fun. Right? Tipsy. Yeah, at least it was fun. We both had drinks, so it's good. It was a fun time I'm never drinking ever again. I remember now why I stopped drinking. So, yeah, please go follow them. We're making a game. You're free to leave. This is a very boring segment for most people, so you're free to leave. I don't mind. Especially all the Reddit. If you're not into programming stuff, this is gonna be very very boring. So, for fun for sure. Let's do again. Again, I'm actually down for again. Yeah, we'll see though, because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm with my wife, so we'll be busy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll see what happens next week. And I may have a fifth and a sixth. So if we have a lot of people, we can get the mod. And there'll be more of us. So we'll see. I'll see if I can plan something. But it'll be fun. Sunday then, maybe, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, once again, thank you for playing. Making a game is the most fun segment. That's because you're a resident neuroscientist, right? If you weren't a neuroscientist and you were like, I don't know, if you were like a boxer or something, you wouldn't find it fun. I don't think, right? I'm pretty sure boxers don't find this stuff fun unless I was making a boxing game. Then it'd be fun. But yeah, we'll see how this goes, and we'll hang out soon, and we'll play soon. But yeah, don't worry, Raiders. There's no obligation to stay. You're allowed to leave. We're just doing some quick planning of some things that we need to add. So, the colored snow. So we need to piss and poop at the same time. We need the ability to piss and poop, and we need to have a camera, in-game camera system, as well as an emote/posing system for the characters. This is going to be the hardest one, so this is really going to be the last thing we do. Everything else is simple, though, except maybe the pooping. I don't really know. We need to find like a 3D model of like poop. Did you tell me that you got your master's thesis topic? Does that mean that you got your master's thesis, or did you get like what does that mean? Or did you choose your topic, or did your like what's the helper name? Is it your professor, or did your professor give you like a topic? But you didn't, so please explain. Which is good. This is like the segment to explain this stuff. This is a very, very, orderly segment that's based around making stuff. Also, because someone mentioned this last time, the chat always says that I never write code and that I have a very long delay between lines of code written. There's a way to check this, but I need to hide this for a second. There's a way to check this with a plugin that's built into every JetBrains IDE. The plugin is very simple. It's a task tracker. So when you're stuck on a task, it says, okay, when did you last do something? It quite literally tracks how often or how little you've like done things. Suspend delay. What? Suspend delay. What does that mean? Task, JetBrains, task tracker. Time tracking. Time tracking, suspend delay. Like how bad is this? Suspend. What? What is considered inactive? To determine when it should stop tracking. So if it stops tracking, no mouse clicks. It will be stopped according to the delay. We'll leave it at 2. Okay, we'll leave it at 2 minutes. That way it'll warn me. It'll tell me if I'm not doing something. Then, oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now we'll never get sidetracked. Also, today there's going to be no model. I was too lazy to set it up. So we're going to add some tasks here, and we're going to see what to do. As I mentioned before, we have a set list of things that we need to do. I did some research off stream, and so I know some of the answers to this, but not entirely. So we're also going to be diving through the docs for some of it, but not as much as last time. We have more answers than we did last time. Thankfully, this means that this should be more of a fun problem-solving, I guess, deep dive. But I don't know if any of you can help me. I don't know. Listen, I don't know how capable chat is at programming, so it's just going to be like a 50-50 on if you can contribute. But you're allowed to contribute game design ideas, and when you do, I will credit you inside the game. Be like the colored piss. Where is it? Look, from Chatter Mint, they suggested the colored piss and poop, so they get the credit for that. You're not capable. We'll try anyways, right? The fun is that it doesn't matter if you're capable, right? Okay, so I'm joking. Okay, wait. We need a new task. Wait. We need a new task to finish. Where is it? FPS controls. It was down here somewhere. Maybe this. Right? There we go. And then yeah, these are just notes. But you're allowed to try even if you're not capable, because the point of this exercise is not to be good at it. You'll never be good at something the first time you try it. The point of it is to try it out and see how much we learn, right? It's a learning experience for me too, considering that this is a new tool in general that I don't know about. So it's like, this is really new for all of us. Oh god, I need to update the YouTube live thing. Oh jeez. It's the topic that you will research and then write your thesis about. Okay. You'd ask your professor, but he couldn't give you one since he's already taking care of 3 master's students. He takes care of that many students? Oh my god. But then he referred you to someone else that you both know, and she offered you a pretty cool topic, so you took that one. Does it? I've never actually realized that that's a problem, eh? I guess that makes sense. Because your advisor slash professor, is it the same role, the advisor slash professor? I'm assuming it's the same thing. You're not the only one. Like, there's multiple people going for like a master's slash PhD. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that they would have to figure out some way to give you a topic. But then it's like if they're too busy, I guess that sucks for you, right? Because then who would be overseeing it? Is it still the original person? Because if so, does that mean that you have no support while it's happening? I really wish that didn't clear the current context. When this thing goes to 2 minutes, it'll warn me and say that I'm spending too much time doing nothing. This is now a good system. And now you can see how long I've been spending on this system. Show time spent from last post. I don't actually know how does it, it's not counting down. That's in hours, isn't it? Yeah, it's in hours. Okay. Well, either way, even if you're not capable, if you have a cool idea that you just want to toss out for the heck of it, you can. If you have an idea of how we can maybe solve these problems, you can as well. Otherwise, enjoy the ride, sit back, and watch as I flail around in the system. As I mentioned last time, we need to finish these tasks. The key one for today is to finish the FPS controller. It's a first-person game, so we need to be able to move the character around, move the mouse and stuff. We are able to move up, down, left, and right. That's already simple. The problem is this rotation thing with the mouse. You have flashbacks from uni. No one wanted to oversee the phonetic shit that you wanted to do. Wait, so what happens then at that point, right? Do you just lose? Like, how to say this? Do you then just have nothing going on, if that makes sense? Are you just doomed, basically, is like what I'm trying to like say. Because that feels unfair to you as a person who spends money onto the program, right? Of like if no one's overseeing it, but you still have to choose a topic. And it happens that your topic that you're interested in is like there, but no one's there to help you. Do you just lose? For context, I'm self-taught, so I've never gone to post-secondary. I've known this stuff on my own, so I have no clue about the rituals of post-secondary. I know about the classes for like a normal class structure, but for like the self-directed stuff where you have to choose like a topic to like go down as your thesis, I always thought that they were just there to review and not that they had to oversee it step by step. And so knowing that they have to oversee it step by step, it feels like you're kind of like hamstrung by the lack of people. No idea either. You just gave up. And then you chose something else and then you dropped out. So true, King or Queen. So true. The education system fails another. I didn't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. It's actually a really sad topic, but at the same time, it's like so true, King or Queen. So true. Anyways, we have this. It's why am I so slow? Like 10. Oh, right, because it died last time. So we can move fairly nicely. The problem is when we move our mouse, the movement feels awful. I don't know why, but for some reason, translation from Euler angle to rotation does not feel good. And there's no way to do anything but the you can see it, but the yaw or the pitch. I think the pitch, which is annoying, despite the fact that it has support for both the yaw and the pitch. However, it's also not as fast, and actually I realized why it was so fast last time. I didn't do time delta time. So we need to figure out how to take your mouse look position and do it in such a way that it can also get the horizontal movement of your mouse. Because for some reason, it just doesn't register. As far as I can tell, I couldn't figure out why this happens. But there's no forum post either, because there's no forum. It's all on Discord. And I refuse to join the Discord, so we're just going to go at it on our own way. My theory is this. Sorry, I'm a bit stuffy. The alcohol. Yeah, you laugh at it every time you remember it as well. I mean, it is a funny situation to be in, right? Of like, okay, well, the point of the system is to allow you to go through and do things. But now you can't do anything. Because then now you're like stuck. What do only affects pitch and not yaw? Is that yaw or pitch? I actually don't know. Yeah. Professor and supervisor don't need to be the same person. Oh. For example, the person where you write your thesis is a postdoc. Right, so she's already had her doctorate. She'll be my supervisor, and the professor that is her boss will just give some advice occasionally, which can be pretty nice. To have a person between you and the professor. Is it because the professor is an asshole? Because I imagine personality issues probably come into play in many different ways, right? Like the professor is kind of like a dickhead, and it's like, okay, well, they're not really helpful, or they don't translate things well, whereas your postdoc has like gone through it. So when your professor says this is shit, it's like they can be like, oh no, what they mean is this is great, but you should fix this and that, right? Basically, are they more of like a therapist, or are they more of like a teacher? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why does this work? Rotation in world coordinates. Oh. Is there another rotation? Maybe it's local. It would be weird to have it local. Like, for that to matter. Yeah, no. I figured. Something about this. The angles will be normalized. And I don't know why it doesn't... Like, why is it missing something? Why does it only go up and down? Search on duckduckgo.com. I don't know if DuckDuckGo can help me here. This is, like, entirely new. This thing doesn't even exist. The angles will be normalized. Rotation from this. Huh. So you make a rotation from this, and this is an angle. I'm assuming from global angles. Yeah, you get the yaw, the pitch. Is it because a mouse has no pitch? Like, how does this work? We need to log this. Oh god, there's no easy way to like log this. Oh hell no, not this shit. You just watched the VOD. Oh wait, what? It killed me. Oh, you saw it? It was so good. It was such a good moment. It was really fun being in the back of the car. It was really fun. I enjoyed watching the chaos go down. Right? It was great. Do you want to link me? Yes, please. And then I'll like show everyone too. Depends on the professor. The professor that you asked is super nice and super talented. The professor now you've never even met. You're all screaming for your life. Listen, it was very terrifying to be there at that moment. How are you able to get to that point where you never meet the professor? That doesn't feel like a flaw in the system. That feels like a flaw in the system. I don't know. But yeah, I'm actually excited to see that because that's funny to me. That we're all like screaming, but also like if you saw it from our perspective, it was so funny to see. It really was terrifying for us. What is the yaw value? It clearly changes the yaw value. So why does it disappear? Huh? Maybe the addition. I think it's the addition operator. I guarantee you it's the addition operator. Whatever you do to add this doesn't work. Rotation plus rotation. You add quaternions. Explicit reference operation. Maybe you multiply it. Maybe you can see from Nagi's VOD. Oh, I should probably check this too, yeah. You know what? I'll watch it afterwards. Just because I wonder how it would work pulling it up. Because I don't want to leak the Discord just in case. So maybe I already have. Who like knows? But I'll cut it out of the VOD, so. But yeah, I'm excited to see it as well. Because I can't imagine how wild that must have been. But yeah, it was a lot of fun playing with you. So thanks for showing up. Oh man. Again, from my point of view, I was in the back of the truck just looking through this like small hole as everything was spinning and then fire was like going. And I was like, oh boy, this is bad. And then the bird picked me up and then tried to like grab me after. Return this rotation's yaw. Maybe I just do this. And I don't even bother adding it. Oh god. Why doesn't this work? Transform. That's for vector theories. Multiply. Maybe not multiply. Slurp? Smooth lerp. Add quaternion. You're gonna call them real quick. Okay. No worries. Let them know. Because that was funny. Why doesn't this work? Each element contains the summed values. Huh. I mean, this should just work then. I don't know why this doesn't work. You get the rotation. You then multiply it by time.delta, which makes sense. Maybe you don't even bother with this. It's going to make the values really weird, but... it's going to make it really weird. Still doesn't affect the thing. Why? What am I missing from this equation here? 2 rotation doesn't lose anything. You keep You keep the yaw. Do you keep the yaw? How does the yaw get translated? Degree to radian. Why did they code it like this? Unless this is just the decompiler. I'm assuming the decompiler gave it these names. Otherwise, this is the actual name, and I'm very surprised that this is the actual name because I don't know if I would name it like this. Like I probably would have named this pitch yaw, pitch sine, pitch cosine, stuff like that. It's okay. So you multiply these, you then send it through. Right, and then there's value conversion. Yeah, this is fine. This should just work. What? Sorry, chat. I have no clue why this like works. This like doesn't work. Maybe there's a different method on the quaternion that we have to use. Let's see. There should be something different. Concatenate. What was that? No. Concatenate. Concatenate. There we go. Your supervisor is a physics postdoc, but she's working in the neurophysiology department. Well, she's working in that side, yeah. So the professor is actually a biology professor. Oh, so as a physics student, you never even had a chance to meet him. I see what you mean. It's like that. It's because he's like a cross. I see. I see. It's like a cross domain thing, and it just happens that she's working in this domain. I see. That's interesting, actually. Huh. I'm surprised that allows them to, I guess, comment on your stuff too. Because isn't it? Because I know that you're like a neuroscientist, right? Or you're getting there. So it's like, wouldn't your topic be so wildly different that they wouldn't even have input for like what you're doing? That's like me trying to answer questions about like what it feels like to be like a civil engineer. Like I don't know. If you ask me to build a bridge, right? Everyone's going to like fall. It's not my fault. You know the bridge in Lethal Company? That's me. That's like very interesting actually. Concatenation. It's not add. It's the concatenation of it. There we go. Okay, there we go. Not conjugate either. Wait, maybe conjugate. What's this? Returns conjugation, which means that they're negated. Ooh. And then this is the concatenation. Wait, how come I can't concatenate? What? Why am I not allowed to concatenate? Oh, good. Transform dot rotation. To rotation, we get a rotation from this. Is that not the same rotation? What is this? That's a rotation. This is a rotation. We have the ability to concatenate. So why doesn't it work? Wait, what was I looking at for concatenation? It's not here anymore. Rotation from, pitch yaw, look at, normalize. Difference, distance, angles. Which means the length of this in degrees. I think it's this. I think that's why. Maybe I just do the addition myself on each and every single one. I was hoping this thing already had something for it, but... A convenience function that rotates this rotation around a given axis given an amount of degrees. Huh. Vector must be normalized before calling this method, or the resulting rotation will be incorrect. Never mind. Smooth damp. Smoothly, okay, don't do any looping. No smooth damp. From to rotation. Returns a rotation that rotates from one direction to another. Oh my god, thank you. That's how it is. It's from to rotation. So we need this. Okay. So you gotta do, yeah, so like this is from to rotation. To rotation. What? Oh, it's static. Rotation dot from to rotation. I guess it's fine to do this. I'm not really sure. Input analog look dot to rotation. There we go. I'm assuming it's not fine because this is, yeah, the axis is not assignable to a parameter of type vector 3. What? What do you mean? From to rotation. Why is there a vector 3? No. What does this do? What? Oh, it's only implemented for vector 3s. Oh. Well. What is the... Oh, because it's a direction, not a... Son of a gun. Neuroscience is interesting in that it combines a lot of fields. There are physicists that are doing these statistics and biologists that are looking into how the cells work. There are programming coming from AI and data scientists and so on. Oh. Okay, well then my question stands: why are the physicists doing stats, and where are your statisticians? Right? I thought the physicists would be dealing with like what happens when you drop an apple from a tree. Maybe my understanding of physics. See, that's why I don't know anything. The idea of physics to me is like apple fall. It's what Newton did. So that's interesting to say the least. Huh? I guess it makes sense too. Yeah, because like the brain does probably involve a lot. And you're right in that when you need to build models of stuff, you do need a programmer on the hand. But then it's also like I don't think the programmer knows much about it, and they just get like a specification that they have to do. So it's my thinking. Maybe there's programmers out there that are smart. Who really knows, right? Who really knows? How come this is so hard to figure out? You would think the plus one would just work. Look at from a forward and up vector. Please don't tell me I have to convert it. You would think you would just be able to add the value. Just work. From. Create a rotation from. Pitch, yaw, roll. Oh, God. Oh, all right. Create a rotation from angles. I just replace it. I'll just replace it. Yeah, sure. Wait, but you can't replace it. You need to add it. All right, fuck it. We'll do it like this. We'll do it like we'll do this. Equals we have to build a new one. Okay, well what's it called again? What was the method called? From all three. So we'll add the values. I don't know if that's actually the way to do it. I feel like there's like an easy method that I'm missing here, but who really knows? And this should be the method from I give the pitch, a yaw, and a roll. So if I do input.analoglook.pitch plus. Well, it doesn't matter. It's commutative. Plus, oh god. Plus pitch. Okay, well that's. Wait a minute. Is that code I see? See, chat. We are actually getting progress. I told you all. I had promised you all that you'd get something. Okay, and so now I have to give you something. We only have 3 hours to do this too. Well, 2.5 hours now. So we need to get this done. Like, we have a pretty large list of things to do because, again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm off with my wife, so it's going to be kind of hard. And every day we're playing a game plus doing this, so it's going to be kind of hard to, like, juggle this. We need to get all of this, like, done in, like, one a day. Should be doable, and that's how you want to do MVPs anyways, because you really don't want to spend too long on your MVPs. And then we'll do, what's it again? Pitch, yaw, roll. Alright. Fuck it. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but fuck it. We'll just do it like this. It's not fancy. It's not good, but there we go. Now it works. There we go. Now it works. Very janky. I'm assuming you get you get this issue where your view rotates into a like 180-degree NAN value. So that's bad. Can I zoom in a bit? No. I can't. Oh, I can. Oh, thank God. There's like an easy way. Okay, good. Here. Oh, yeah, it's good enough. Modern physics is usually quite theoretical. When you talk to a friend that is a chemist and he tells you about theoretical chemistry, you always laugh because it's comparable to the most practical part of physics. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Especially because of all, I'm assuming because you're talking specifically about like the ways that you have to model the various stuff, right? I guess that makes sense. That's interesting. I didn't realize it was so theoretical now, at least modern physics. I guess it also makes sense. I mean, looking what, but like, I guess like, because my layman perspective of physics is something like Stephen Hawking. And so it makes sense that it's theoretical because that's all he was doing. And then all the other questions are mostly solved. So you're just solving a lot of theory stuff now. And it makes sense why you'd want them there because they're everywhere. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that you are, I don't know why you're here. Also, don't do roll. 0. We don't want to roll. I need to clamp this. Is there like a math? Is there a math? There is. Okay, good. Math in system. Math F. F. Which one has clamp? Okay, well, how about the C sharp math clamp? Is there like a nice? There we go. Yay, good, good, good. Math clamp. You're here for the fun times with a sticky lad. Okay, well, I see Narf's influence has spread to you, to you, has spread out to you. You know what's funny is that I can never like escape that name now. Even my friends call me that now. Yep. I now am sticky. We're all sticky together. See, chat, there is such a thing as me coding, alright? It just takes a bit of time for me to get there, okay? It's just, you know, it's the way that it is. How does this work? Minimum, maximum. So the value, the minimum, and then what's the maximum yaw? I don't know. If it stays 60, 180. Yeah, that's good. Alright, try it. Okay, that's still very frustrating, but it's fine. It's better. It's a single tick. There's like a single moment where this happens. You actually try to yaw and see yeehaw. It should be 1 and 179. This is a very hacky way of doing it, but fuck it. There we go. It's better. It's because when you get really, really close, because you add the value very, very quickly, it gets all like wonky. That's fine. It's good enough. Okay, set speed to 100. That's good. There we go. I can't turn my mouse, can I? God damn it. Did I get the wrong value? Yaw is the vertical. Pitch is the one. Son of a bitch. Fuck it. We'll do it like this. Pitch. Pitch. And then we'll do this to yaw. Fuck it. Yeah, and we'll do the trick here. I don't know why I keep undoing it. This is a hot reload environment, so you could theoretically just leave it there. Yeah, I'll fix that later. Fuck it. I'll fix it later. That's an easy issue. You'll be back later. No worries. Even if you don't have to, even if you can't come back, it's fine. So as long as if you're busy, it's fine. Trust me, Chad. You might be back later to tell me about the actual topic. Oh yeah, you didn't even tell me about the actual topic. Yeah, let me know about the actual topic because I'm very curious about that. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for showing up. So there's a problem. This is a generic forward and backward. I need the relative forward and backward from where we are, which we can get from the rotation. So if I get the rotation, I don't know if I want to do local or world. I think local is easier, and then I just need to be careful about the tree. So basically, local is like, because local could be separate from whatever the root is, but the world is the one that's always there. But I don't know if I want to make this affect the world, or if I just need to layer it correctly within the scenes to make sure that it's local to something. If you work locally, you can do some cool effects, like having like moving platforms, right? Having to do that translation from world to local after the fact is a bit annoying, so easier to do it this way, I think. That forward, there we go. The forward direction of this vector. There we go, it's good. Okay, we'll get this, and then we'll just plop this in, I guess. Plop. Plop. There we go. Just plop you in there. It's good. You've been looking at coffee machines. Why are there so many of them? You know why, chat? They're trying to take your money. Remember what I showed you? Do you remember what I showed you? Look what you've done. You're making us go into another tangent. Vietnamese coffee filter. There we go. This. You need this. You need this. Don't buy your AeroPress. You don't need an AeroPress or like an espresso for $50, okay? You walk into any Vietnamese cafe where we have some of the best coffee in the world. You want espresso? Don't worry. Then you get this too. We use this shit for espresso. We use this shit for espresso every day. You go to Vietnam, you go to any cafe, world-renowned cafes. My brother in Christ, we've won coffee competitions on a global stage. You drop your ground up beans in this. You lift up the cap, put the cap down, squeeze them, put the water in. You got beautiful espresso. And then if you want that creamy stuff, you just press it down so it like squeezes it. I'm telling you, this is all you need. This and a bit of elbow grease is all you need. You're missing out, heathens. The heathens out there are missing out. Disgusting. Left, and then we'll go backwards. So now movement is local to where we're looking. Good. So now movement is local to where we're looking. I can't look up. That's funny. Why can I look up? What is the max value? Is this? What is the max value? This is 0. 90 is the bottom. Minus 90 is the top. What the fuck? That's why, okay, minus 90 versus 90. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, it's happening. Okay, maybe minus 89 and then 89. I don't know why the top is the minus. You want your $3,000 machine to do your cream. No, you don't need the machine to do your cream. You have us. You have us. Just ask. My brother in Christ, you want me to cream you? Yeah. Yeah, I can cream you, man. I can cream you. I got you. I need some things around here. Okay, so now we have a looking system done. So the looking system is mostly good. So this is basically good to go for free. Okay, maybe not for free. We need a way to sprint. Okay, so I do want to sprint. We'll have that sprint button because I am kind of slow, and we'll just take the speed times 2 or 3. I'm not sure. Oh, you have to, I was gonna say you have to subscribe, but I don't actually want you to subscribe. So don't subscribe. You don't have to. You notice I don't call it follows and stuff. I only call it raids because I don't like. You should give the follows and the subscriptions and the bits to the other people that we watched today because I don't like. I'm fortunate to be in a position where I don't need it. So please spread the love and spread your love and your seed, your green seed everywhere else that you see. To Nagi, to Hevasaurus, to Grumpy Meganate, to Narf, to who else have I streamed with? Athel. To who else have I streamed with? I actually don't remember who else I streamed. Did I say it's a sweet destination? To them, I'm good. You're just here to. Yeah, for free. We need a sprint button. Because I realized that moving really slow is going to be very annoying. And I think in the game, it'd be funny to have like a separate sprint button for people to go around. There's already a run button, so I can reuse that. It's fine. Kumst. Okay, yep, come. Sorry, it's not Kumst. How do people make up these like names? Why was the GE ending for things so... Like, why was that made? The like GE ending. Default task? No, how do you format again? What's the format? Reformat. Code. Control Alt L. Not Shift L. Okay. We're spending half an hour on just this thing, and I don't know if this is worth it. Run. If this is down, I need to have... This is going to be interesting. I wonder if I need to communicate the speed back to anything. I don't think so. I think just having the speed temporarily change might be safer. I was gonna save the value of the speed, and then when it presses up, it would disappear. But I think it's better to just have the speed be in a separate local value. Why is this warning me something? Can be made private. Wait, does that work? Can I do a private property? I don't know if that's possible. Private. Wow. You have a private property? That feels like a mistake, no? So I can still see the speed, but what? I guess property doesn't care whether it's public or private. That's just a code level concern. The editor level concern is the attribute. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, sure. Alright, cool. Whatever. Fine by me. I was gonna do the run by just updating your speed, but then I realized if there's any effect that's based on your speed, and we update it temporarily, when you hold shift, you do it faster. This is really just a temporary concern for your movements here. So we might as well just copy it here. Speed equals speed. is that weird? Is there a way to say the like local? I guess like temp speed. Float temp speed. Well, I guess I do float speed. Can you shadow names? You can't shadow names. Okay, well, that's a problem. What? What's this? Use var. Wait, why did you use var? Why would you use var? Wait, C sharp var. You can tell that I haven't used C sharp in a very long time. Underscore. Okay, I don't like the underscore system because then you get into like a weird situation where it's like it doesn't convey why it's shadowing, right? Because underscore is a project level code style. So it's like at a first glance, it's not easy to remember. And the me of tomorrow is not going to remember why I do underscores, like why you tag names. It's why in favor of making explicit names that are good enough, brief enough to convey their intent, but also more descriptive than a symbol that you use to prepend or append something. Because, okay, let's say we come back to this after my break, right? And I see speed, right? And we're like, let's say, look, God forbid this file gets to 500 lines, right? And we're at the 500 line, okay? And we see the speed, and then we need to like go backwards and then figure out why we did this. We could write a comment, or we could just use the name of the variable itself and then communicate that everywhere. So we don't have to jump back. Let's say we use speed down here, right? Underscore speed. Then it's like, okay, let's say this is 500 lines down, right? I'm like, why is this underscore speed? And then why is there a separate speed? Like, if I don't know the code structure or I don't remember, I'm going to see them get out of sync at some point and I won't understand why. I then need to like track all of this down. Whereas if I see the name temp speed, it's like, okay, this is coming from a very specific place. It's different from your speed that you set within the property editor. It has a different purpose. Then I know to shortcut myself towards what is that purpose versus what is this, right? If that makes sense. You've seen someone do speed underscore. Yeah, there's like a bunch of there's a lot of conventions to it. There's like, you can do anything. There's even the Google style where you prepend the name with the type. Underscore temp underscore speed. Are you trying to give me like you're trying to give me like an aneurysm, right? Listen, Jimmy boy, we gotta talk about your performance at this company. Yeah, that piece of code you wrote, like 5 months ago. Yeah, we found that. What were you thinking? What were you smoking when you did underscore temp underscore speed in camel case with snake case? Uh, hey man, I don't gotta take this, man. I'm a senior now. Not anymore. Anyways, I'm a big believer in, I guess, more descriptive names. Let's say what they are. Although temp is also a very bad one. Like, I don't know, like modified speed. I don't really know what to say about this. Modified speed is probably good, but it's like I want to find the word that means the final output. Next variable will be underscore temp speed underscore temp speed. That's a Python thing, right? Like underscore main underscore equals, and then this is your entry function, and you have to do like all of this stuff, and then it's like, okay, like it's like a whole thing now. Like you've just reinvented why Python is the way that it is, and why most people don't like it, even though it's a good language. We'll figure out, okay, to do better name that means the final sum of everything. I don't want to use sum speed because it feels weird. And they will have entirely different logic. Now that's how you program. Yeah. That's a sign of somebody who's been working on a code base that's like 30 years old. You can pass around, just everywhere. It's got holes in it. Like no one really cares, but runs our banking system. Genius. So what is var? Implicitly typed local variables. Oh, this is like the auto keyword. It's literally just auto. Huh. You know what? I don't mind using auto here because it makes sense. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we'll just use auto. Auto is like it from C++ is you automatically infer the type. A lot of people don't like it because it feels like you run yourself into bugs. But I'm of the opinion that if you use it well, your compiler will surface error like errors anyways from your function signatures. Like when you use your value and you type your functions and your inputs and your outputs correctly, you'll see the problem anyways. You shouldn't use auto in a function parameter, which I don't think you can. But if you do it like that and you have a good split between logic, you should be, for the most part, okay to use auto for the most part. It's just people don't like it in code bases because new developers won't. It's one of those C++ foot guns, right? So, how dare you shit on my magic methods? No, it's not a magic method. That's the character that what's his face played, the actor from 21 Jump Street. That's the hit movie Magic Mike. I can't do a mass rename, I don't think, and I don't know if this supports the rename uh thing. The This is a Vim plugin, and I don't know if it supports renames past a certain line. Maybe it does. Can I do this? Refactor this or rename. Can I rename this past only within these lines? Fuck. Okay, it's fine. We'll just do it like this, and we do it like this. There we go. Good. Then we go like this. Good. There we go. And then we go like this. Like this. What was it again? Control W? Control W is used as a Vim command. What was the command again to delete the void chat? Control U? No, Control U and D. Just go up. Well, it doesn't work in this plugin, so it doesn't matter. Oh, only in insert mode. I forgot. Only in insert mode. Well, that's... It deletes backwards? It deletes on where your cursor is. But I hate moving the cursor with my arrow keys, so why bother? You hate camel case. Well, welcome to the C# land. There's actually nothing that we can do. It's just C# land. Oh, never mind. That you can just do with that. What is the code style for C# and why is it so fucked up? What? It changed. Again, like, this is named like this. This is named like this. But then, this is named like this? I don't understand. Oh, this is like the default recommended code style, which I'm just assuming is what is good in C#. I have no clue, so... Let's see how it goes. So now if I do run, I want to do the modified speed times 2. So modified speed times equal 2. Now you see what I'm cooking, right? So now when you move, if you hold the run button, it'll modify the speed to be times equal 2. What's this? Then everything after will take after that. Me too, Snake Case for the win. I do enjoy Snake Case a lot. This is Snake Case, right? I enjoy this a lot. I find this is the only way to do things. But sadly, I think in general, most languages and most styling, I guess like most shops that I've been in that do code don't like that style. I think because it reminds them that the world is older than they are. And so what ends up happening is that you end up in this place where nobody uses snake case. Everybody uses some form of camel case, as well as some weird mixed casing of like Hungarian notation or like something. I don't know. Like this, whatever this thing is called. Then you get into like a whole mess of like, okay, it switches styles every 5 seconds. The C developers had it right? Everything is lowercase. There's no need to worry about capitals because capitals don't matter. They don't really change the meaning of something. And then you just do like this to separate words. Because you can't have spaces. Some people capitalize Canada like this. Some people capitalize Canada like this. Now you have 2 different functions. And that's a problem. Now tell your developer. I also think, yes, you should do numbers like that too. I mean, that's just a good practice for numbers. Especially the larger numbers, like, just in general. Because if you just write this by itself and you just do like, this, and you just do like this, it's really hard to tell without putting your cursor on it how many units. Whereas doing it like this, it translates to the same thing and like anyways. But you know for sure what type of value it is. The next best step is if the language provides you something like this. But I don't think that's going to be possible. Actually, does that actually work? What the fuck? There's no way. Number C# 1M number. What? It's gonna be really hard to find this. Don't worry, we'll find the M at some point. Okay, well, this is real literals. What? Okay, if you mix zeros and like O's, then you're just a monster. This is a decimal. Huh? What's a decimal? Oh, this is the finance type. Yeah, this is the finance type. Yeah. Because in finance, you have to deal with decimals. They're a very small value. And almost always, it's actually funny. A lot of languages don't offer this by default. A lot of languages, what they have to do is they have to offer like a separate plugin or an extension to the language that you have to compile with that flag for this to be available. Because usually it's a performance sync. So I'm surprised that this is built in. I guess it makes sense because of the runtime, and then the runtime can decide if you need this or not, and then it'll say like, okay, you have it, so I'm gonna enable this like, feature. Enjoy your slower numbers. But also, you have to explicitly opt into it with the M symbol, which it's interesting. That's well, now we know what these are. Wow. What in God's name is this? What? A decimal and an integer. What does that mean? Huh? What the fuck is this? No, this has to be a joke. 1 underscore, 2 underscores, number 3, 3 underscores, 4, number 4, 4 underscores. This has to be a joke. What is this? How can it be 2 and 1? That doesn't make sense. Wait, what? What? I don't. Huh? Ah, yes. Love it. I know, that's what it looks like, right? It just looks like just a random assortment of like. There's no way. That's valid? That's an integer. We need to know. That's an integer. What does that mean? It's 15. It's the number 15. Why would you write this? Why would you write this? Oh god. Oh god. Okay, they've gone too far. They've gone too far. Like this makes sense, right? But when would you ever need multiple underscores to denote the number type? This doesn't feel real. Why is it not auto scroll? Come on. Scroll to bottom. There we go. See, like that makes sense for 1, but then why can you go as far as you need to? If you write this in my code base, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. I'm gonna shit myself. All right, don't do that to me. Never do that to me. Okay. Keep it. Okay, fine. 2. Oh wait. 0, 3. I bet you. Look. I bet you this is 2. I guarantee you. Watch. 0. Because the 0 at the beginning, and if I look at the type, see, it's an integer. So now if I log foo, I guarantee you this is just 2 because the leading 0 would be thrown away. It is. What? This is perfect music for it too because this is so stupid. Yeah, or like that. Yeah, we can also go like the face. Like we could just make a face here. Okay. Maybe C# is a joke language. Maybe it's not a real language. Maybe it's designed to be a joke. It's a joke that went way too far, but we just kept going with it, right? It never really stopped. 0, 0 plus 0, 2. Yeah, that's some good shit right there. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there too many underscores now? Is that too much for you? Oh wait, no. No, it's not. It was because of the bracket. Sorry, it's actually fine. That's perfectly fine. That's fine. That's fine. Jeez. Well, now we have a way to run. So you see how I speed double for like a second? Maybe I'll do some speed. Some speed is better. All right, we'll do some speed. Refactor this. Rename some speed. Good. So now it's the sum of your speed. How do I expose this as a property without allowing you to modify it? Because I just want you to see this value, but I don't want you to modify it. Is there like a way to do the property thing without exposing it? I don't know. Sync properties. Hey. Latest value. No, not the sync it. No, sorry. This is for net. This is for net. That's for networking. How do I get people to see this value without? Because I want to see what your final value is for debugging, right? For development, but I don't want you to like work with it. Also, sorry, I need to make a quick call. Sorry, I'll be right back. And I'm back. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna fix that number at some point. We'll just leave it for now. But let's see if I can make a property that does more things. Property. Require property. Creates a property. How do I do a read-only property? Is there a way to see what other property types are there? You just use structural navigation. Yeah, that's fine. What else is there? Property attribute. Property attribute. The internal name is property. Property attribute. Read-only property. Property attribute. I guess there's only really one. Huh. There's no way to just say it's just a read-only one. Well, I guess it would be read-only if we just copy the value, right? Then it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just there to be used. Private, but then I guess what does read-only mean? Wait, what does read-only mean? C# read-only. Like, how do you make a read-only that like works? Like, I want it to be read, but I want to update the value because it's a property. I still want it to be used. So specifically that value. But I do need to update it over time. But that's not the point of read-only. So, fuck. What do I do? Shit. This only works for the assignment. This only works for the declaration. So, within the field declaration and constructor can't be assigned after the constructor exits. I guess private does that, but I don't even want it to be used within the thing. I just want it to be there to output a value. Fuck it. We'll just do it like this. Doesn't matter. Some speed. Yeah. Let's do default getter. You set it. Is that not already like a default way of setting things? Single. What the hell is single? Single floating point precision number. Use type keyword. There we go. It'll be not a number for now, and then we'll just update it as we need it. And then it's like sum speed equals sum speed. And then we'll never use the sum speed itself, right? Current sum speed. Is that a good way to say that's like a display name? I don't really know. To do, this name is shit. To do, this name is poopy. And needs a little wiki. Not good enough. Yeah, good enough. Okay, that way I can see the value as we're playing around with it. And that way I can know if it's working. So now that look at the right side. This 200 value here. It's 100 now. If I hit shift, I can see why it's I can see that it jumps to the 200. So I can sort of know, okay, like what it's doing at all times. I can verify that it's working. And then I can sort of see what's like happening to my state changes, which is nice. It's good. I don't think down is the best way to do it. I think there's another way to specify whether it's pressed or not, but let's see if there's other ways. There should be another one that's like while it's pressed. This is when it's currently pressed down. Wasn't pressed down, but it is. Released. Set action, clear actions, release action. On button. We also now need, so the movement is done. The movement's done. Okay, so wait, movement's done. Movement. WASD movement is done. Mouse look is done. Run is done. We now need the ability to project hands. So project force from our hands out into the world. So some way to activate that mode. So really, the FPS controller itself is done. We have the basic movements. Now we need the controller for the character to do its ability. I don't want this as part of the FPS controller because that's a whole separate concern. It's specific to our game. This small controller we can reuse anywhere, so it's fine. So we can just leave it like this. But what I need specifically is the ability to project force out. So we need to do a ray trace. So this is like, we need to do like this. On a primary mouse button, to do how to query this if you're, e.g., left-handed. I guess it doesn't matter. You can set the preferences of your buttons. So it's like on, I don't know, push action. On push action, project out hands and start. Well, I mean, on push action, project a force, a movement force in front of us that pushes things forward. There we go. That's fine. We don't need to care about the animations of it, the look of it. That's like a separate concern. Now we have a whatever thing. I don't know what to call this. I don't know what to call this. We have an FPS controller. I now want a Snowjobber. What's that? What's the term for that thing that plows? A snowplow controller. Snowplow control. Genius. Oh, it's really coming together now. You know what I mean, chat? That's good. Okay, and this has to extend a. How do you extend again? What's the thing to extend like that? Okay, component. There we go. So that's gonna become a component. Cumplower. Yeah, it can be a cumplower too. It's really anything that you want. But wait, let me do it. Just like copy paste this. God, I really wish there was an easier way to do like active Windows only, but it's not. Because then to go over, you need to go like this. And then it's like, okay, we'll put this in and then do this. There we go. And then we got to do this. Okay. So now, if input dot down, I guess like push. We'll call it plow because I think it's funny to call the power plow, right? The action itself, we'll call it plow. I wonder if this hot reloads. It actually might be worth it to see what hot reloads. Because if it does hot reload, what we could do is this. So I can add the component snowplow controller. Then I can see, okay, can I add an input and then does it all hook up in real time, or is there like are there gaps in the hot reloading? Because this is really one of the key features of this engine, is the ability to hot reload and pick up from where you were without having to like constantly unplay and build, and it should be a fast cycle. So let's see. Plow. We're going to plow something in. This is a left click button. On the controller, you get fucked. I don't know what I don't have a controller, so I can't do anything. So yeah, it's whatever. If we can plow, what happens if we P low? Oh, it cares about the quotes. Single quote is carried to literal, like in C. Okay, cool. You need two quotes to make a string. A string is immutable. What is this going to do? It needs to project a force out. So we need some way to say, okay, how much force do we have? So let's get our... Because the whole point of this is that when you push your hands out, you push whatever is in front of you by that amount of power, right? And it's determined based on your strength minus the thing's mass. So I need some way to query whether or not that thing has a mass. So, okay, wait. So on push action, so I can do this. Need the weight behind the training so it feels good. So we can do this. Ray trace what's in front of you. Yep, it needs the weight behind the thing. On push action, project a force outwards, and then we do like this. So we can do this with a ray trace it. Needs weight behind the training so it at least feels good. Needs to consider what can and can't be pushed via a component similar to, I guess like can push, can plow, yeah, can plow that has a mass on it. And then I need to figure out maybe look into reusing whatever the physics engine uses to define the mass of the object itself so that we can just piggyback off of the physics engine and tune it to our needs instead of making our own abstraction over it. What else is there? I think that's it. That's really all you need. Everything beyond this is like an extra thing. Yeah. So we need some way to only affect things that can be pushed. We need to make sure that it plays well with the existing physics engine so that there's as little rework from our side and custom work as we can. Because if you make use of that system and you just tune it so that it pushes in a specific direction, My presumption is that it should be fine. Oh, we also need to make sure some system to make it mostly follow where you're pushing so that it has some grippiness if you're pushing in a particular direction. So, e.g., even if it's the physics system, I kind of want to listen to this right now. Even if it's the physics system, you don't want it to roll sideways as the player is trying to push forward. It should be at least somewhat responsive to feel at least somewhat good, but still have the possibility to roll wildly out of control for the sake of comedy. It's very important. There's a fine line to where it's frustrating, and we make the game a Sisyphus. And then on the other side, it's too controlled that you might as well just play Minecraft, right? It needs to sit in that middle realm of between Minecraft and the game of Sisyphus. There we go. Yes, there's two S's. So we need to be very, very careful about this, right? You can't go too far in the way of controllability, but you can't go too far in the way of just wanton chaos, because then it's not really fun for the player to do and to feel. It's more frustrating than anything, and you want to make a fun experience, not a frustrating one. Churning needs to be able to churn. Needs to be able to handle churning. How is this gonna work? When the player WASDs, that movement vector will be used to define that the direction of their intended movement will be fed in as a will modify the direction of the push. So this is gonna be kind of weird, but I think it should work out. So Excala draw. How do I do this? Control P, Excala draw, embedded drawing. Here we go. No, Excala draw. How do I embedded drawing? Create new drawing in the pop-up window. Create new drawing in the pop-up tab. Creating existing drawing. Fuck it. Basically, you want something like this. You want, let's say you're pushing this way, and then you press the D button, right? So now the force, like the direction of this push, must now go this way instead. If you press, WD, it then should be like a diagonal. I know it's just weird to draw this out, like it makes sense, but it's weird because you have to modify the direction and not anything else. And it's not a smooth rotation. Well, it has to be like a smooth rotation too. So this has to like smoothly, it has to slurp it. It must slurp between these two things, right? If you go too fast, what ends up happening is that it'll just be instant. And then the ball will just kind of roll like this, then like this. Whereas what you want to do is more like this. You want to sort of slowly turn around, and then this is a function of the mass of the ball. So it's a mass of the ball as well as the strength of your push. So it's the strength of the plower. And then obviously the train comes into play here. There's like multiple trains, but I don't want to deal with the trains and what happens when the trains churn. I don't think we have to put a point where it's like the trains can't contribute to, like, people at the back of the train that are behind the person that's at the front they're not allowed to determine the direction. This also is going to be complicated because it's a sphere, so it could be anything. It could be anything. Oh god. So you need to calculate the force based on every force acting on it. So let's say you have like multiple people at the same time. Let's say I'm trying to push it, then somebody's like, wait, time to like troll this guy, and they go over here. The direction must be the sum of these two things. So it must equal, it's going to be like this. It's going to be something like this, where it's like slightly less. roughly, right? But then it's like if you have a train behind you, it's then going to equal something like this, where it's more vertical than that. And then the more trains there are, the more it negates this. We'll have to have a limit to this. I don't know if I want to make it so complicated that it's like all the math, but at the same time, just having the math works, and it feels mostly fine and like fairly good, so it should be okay. So somebody can like help push it, and then this also automatically solves the issue of what happens when someone pushes against you. Well, they must have an equal strength. If they don't have an equal strength, you only lessen the force of the push. So it might go from this much to this much. So it's like slightly less. And then it depends on how much more they're stronger than you. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. See, chat, we're actually coding. Okay, it just takes a while till they get there. I didn't even do a single daily. We'll do it later. Fuck it. No job. Okay. Yeah. Needs to be able to handle churning. Needs to be able to handle other forces changing the direction of the object. This actually then necessitates, there's a very easy way to solve this. You store the current movement direction and you modify it on the thing that's being pushed. So this is a bit weird. So it's like, because the thing that's being pushed is the source in the end of all the movement. So there's no need to really think about the forces that are coming in. You just apply it as a sum. You just sum it up with whatever is currently being pushed, and then you do some math on whatever the force is. That can be up to us. We can determine like an arbitrary scale for how much mass to like strength. It doesn't really matter, right? But it needs to store current direction and modify the direction of the pushed object on the pushed object itself. This greatly simplifies what happens when multiple people like push on it, because then we just add it to this one value. And then when you sync it over, everyone has the same value. Like in the end, the host machine does the calculation, and everyone just gets an updated value, which should be a lot easier even on the networking side, because then you don't have to do replicable physics. Like replicating physics is very complicated because you need deterministic physics to do so. So you can ignore determinism and just sync over the final result and then just say to push it in this direction at this speed, right? This is easier to sync because be right back. All right, yo. I mean, sorry about that. I was sorry. That's how I usually talk. It's my wife. I miss her. We were just talking. So now we gotta do. There's also one thing that I thought of. I'll finish the point about the deterministic side soon. Needs to be sticky enough such that the person pushing doesn't have to keep a pixel perfect aim on the center of the object to push it in the way you want. So first about the determinism, I agree. Fuck determinism. That's a much harder problem to solve from a physics level. If you're a physics game like Half-Life 2, you just get shit on, I suppose, and your online game is very complicated. I actually don't know how Half-Life 2 solves it. I'm pretty sure Half-Life 2 quite literally simulates it on the server, and then every single time I'm pretty sure it's like every single tick, if I remember. Every single tick, it sends over the data of like the movements. It's why you see in like Half-Life 2 online. When you go into like a crazy map, and a lot of things start moving, you don't go out of sync. What happens is that the game skips frames. Like not frames. It skips physics frames. Like you'll see the object like teleport, but on the same path that everyone else has. So it just keeps on going. And I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right? But why do that when you can just fuck determinism and send over the final result from the host? A lot easier, and it's basically the same result and it's not actually it's the same thing. It's the same thing, since you just need to propagate the final value, the final push value and direction And then, well, I guess final push value and direction propagate the final transform value, which we'd already be doing. So actually, there's already like a um. This is only for the host, since they're the ones. Well, for the host slash server, I don't know what it is yet in sandbox terms. Since they're the clients that will be performing the calculations. Yeah, and then we just propagate over the rest of the transform, which is like your position at every frame, like we normally would, and then that's simple. Okay, so the stickiness part. When you're pushing something, right, like straight on. Let's say you're pushing a snowball. You don't want to have pixel perfect aim or force players to have pixel perfect aim to be able to push it forward. So let's say this is you facing the snowball. You don't want to have to get the player to have to put their mouse exactly there. And if you go a tiny bit off, it starts to roll, right? You don't want to do what pool games do. This is not meant to be a pool game. And while there's meant to be some skill in rolling, it shouldn't be complicated to like roll your snowball. It should be fun and zen, and it should be fairly controllable to some degree. So there needs to be like a zone where the game will automatically center you onto. This is a very unfortunate image that I'm realizing. I need to preempt this so that the Twitch bots don't ban me. So I need to draw a mouth here. What you need to do is have the zone over here, where the zone kind of keeps you within its space, and that way, as you are looking as you push this thing, you automatically stay within the zone. And you have to like move your mouse off of it fairly hard in order to be able to fly off. Or maybe you don't even move your mouse off of it. Maybe you just stay locked onto it. Maybe instead of this, maybe you just lock onto it. So if you're pushing onto it, you stay locked on as long as you're pushing the button after you've made contact with the thing. So it locks on fairly tight. I'm trying to draw like chains. Yeah, so it stays on fairly tight. So it's like locked on onto the object as soon as you make physical contact with it. That way you can look around as you're rolling, right? Because I think it'd be funny to let people roll the ball like from a top-down view, right? Imagine you're rolling the ball, but your eyes are looking over here at like two players throwing snowballs or something, right? At like some interesting thing here. That way you can still move the snowball independently of where you look. The problem is that you then... God. It's a confusing model. Because if you press D, like if you try to move, right, to use your WASD to move, it's actually based on this direction and not where you're looking. So it's based on where you're moving, which should be fine. This should be understandable, I think. It's just weird because it's going to be like a tank. Like you're going to be like a turret on a tank. Basically, it's that same model of like turret on like a tank. It's going to be confusing in the first time, but it should be okay. And then people will pick it up quickly. And if they can't, then they don't deserve to play a game. Whatever. You can't figure that out. You're not allowed to play a game, buddy. All right? Yeah. Okay. So it must be sticky to some level. So lock onto the push target as soon as contact is made, and allow mouse look to be independent. Allow camera movement to be independent of game of like object movement. Okay, that makes sense. WASD movement applies to the pushed object's movement vector, not the camera vector. That's a problem. Right now, the FPS controller is on the camera. I need a character that we have. So basically, I need to remodel this. This is why, do you see why it's handy to work with local position, local rotation and stuff? But also why you gotta be careful about how you attach things. So now the camera needs to be attached to a character. So let's make a new cube. Make a cube called player, okay? Set you back to 0, 0, 0. So back to origin, which is back over here. All right. I need to attach the camera to the box. So the camera will be on top of the box now. That way, I wish there was a way to see both at the same time. Son of a gun. Kinda wish that was possible. Oh, there we go. Thank God. That way, what? Oh, I'm playing it right now. Oh, shit. Okay, over here. That way, when you move the cube, it'll move the camera because it's attached to it, right? That's a whole different thing now. I need to add the cube back. Okay, well, that's... Add... Okay, well, what did I just add? Object. I added a random object. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Yeah, just add an empty object for now. Have this be the actual thing that we're moving. Because every game object has a transform, so that's fine. So we attach the camera to this random object, which for now is kind of a temporary character. Temp char. There we go. Temp char. Go back to 0, 0, 0, and then we're back there. And then bring this back to over. Bring the camera back to 0, 0, 0. We're gonna make it relative, relative, relative. Make the controls of tank-like as well. You know when control left wheel and right leg when simulate. We're not gonna make the player control their left and right leg separately, chat. We are not. That is torture. We're not gonna do that to people. I feel like there's a limit to what we're allowed to do, right? I don't think people would appreciate that. It's important to recognize that the game must be fun on some fundamental level. And tank movement was never made to be fun. It was made to be practical. Because we had no other option but to do that. You know what I mean? So no. I appreciate your suggestion. But I loathe to see that ever be made into a thing. Okay? I loathe that. Also now, if you look at this, the camera is inside the object, which is fine. I need to then move this script over. I need to actually delete the script, actually. So, remove it. I need to move it onto the character. It's going to move the character because the camera is attached to the character. You can then move it around. This also makes it easy to implement, like, say, like, you know, if you want to spectate people for moderation purposes, we can build, like, an in-game mod tool to see if people are building, like, something bad. Like, if you make, like, a swastika, I kind of have to, like, you know, it'd be nice that somebody could, like, see what you're making. And it's like, okay, well, time to kick this guy, but I'm going to hope that you only play this game with people that you know. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. And then now, because it moves in the local space, the camera moves. So now, I'm no longer moving the camera. I'm moving the character. I'm moving the character around. But because the camera is attached to it and follows the same everything of the character, it's basically one-to-one. Remember Steambot Chronicles? That's how you control the mexer. You're kidding me. One leg at a time? Really? One leg at a time. That's how you do it. In Steambot. You played that game for fun. You know what? That's what that game was. Remember that game about climbing like an underwater realm? I forget the name of it now. That's what that game felt like. Similar level of complexity with the amount of stuff that you had and the amount of levers that you could pull in your ship. It could be fun. Actually, there's another game that I found that I really want to play at some point on stream. Once it's out of early access. I'm just waiting. But it has a very similar vibe to that as well. It's an underwater horror game. It's very, very fun. It's going to be fun. Sorry, so gassy. Okay, so this works. We now have it correctly on the right thing. Why did I do this? Because of this. So now, this allows us to look in the camera. This allows us to look around in the camera separate to our movement. The problem is that this needs to be split. This can't be an FPS controller. This actually needs to be a. I need to edit this to refactor it by renaming it. Uh, 3D. I don't know. I don't know. There's a meme for this. Only two hard problems. There are only two hard things in computer science: cache invalidation, naming things, and off by one errors. Aside from those, everything's easy. So we gotta get a good name for this. The point that I'm trying to get at is that this is only gonna handle the movement of the character in an oriented space. It's not a 6 degrees of freedom movement. It's just a 3 degrees of freedom movement. The problem is I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what the name for that is. So I'm just gonna say like land movement controller. So this is gonna handle your movement on the floor for movement. It's not gonna handle your mouse look though. So your mouse look will need to be moved to a separate thing. Well, why is your mouse look moving somewhere else? Because you need your camera to move around, but you need the movement of the object to be like its own thing. So I'm gonna reuse this random component that it gave me, and we're gonna rename this thing to look controller. You know, fuck it, whatever. And then I just plop all this in, and we're good. And then we're good to go. Okay, format this. We're good. Import this. Sure. Maybe system.math? Is it really just within system? So I get the entire system in here. I really hope that this automatically handles this. Oh yeah, the sealed modifier. I keep forgetting about the sealed modifier. Sealed means that you can't like inherit from it anymore, which is nice for this because we don't want to inherit from it even more. We just want to be able to use it as a final thing. So now this should only have a movement controller. We'll do 100. This way you can move the camera independently of how you move, but these two need to be synced. So now there's a problem of like, these two need to be synced until you're locked onto something. So now we can do the locking of the push through the movement controller and lock it down in some way. I'm not really sure how to do this. We'll need to see. I guess there's kind of a way. What you can do is you can say, okay, what are you basing your direction on? Like, what is the transform that you're basing your rotation on? We can actually expose that as a property. So I can do a property that's like this. I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves with the way that we're doing this, but I think it kind of works. I think we do this. Transform dot. I guess it's a rotation, technically. So it's a rotation. Oops, private rotation. Direction. So direction source. So it's like what is your direction source? And what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get this? So you need to require this. And this is what's going to be used to determine which way to move. That way at runtime we can swap this out. So it's like the direction of your movement can be tied to your camera, but then we can temporarily swap it out to be based on the snowball. Then we just switch it back. That's a very easy way to do it, and it allows us to tie different things to it in a very understandable way. Easy to debug. Maybe confusing to use though, but that's a whole different matter. I don't know how to make this any more easier to use without having to require external documentation. Sorry, give me one second. Hey, I'm back. My wife is actually going to be busier than I expected. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll probably be here. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll probably be gone. Which means we can actually move some of these backwards. So basically, the reason why I want to get so much of this done so quickly was because of that day off. But we can actually move some of these to the next day because I realized this may be a bunch. And honestly, I kind of want to call it very soon anyways because it is getting... I am also kind of tired anyways. So I think it's good anyways that we have more time across the entire week to do more. But I do want to get at least the pushing system started, like the ability to push things and the ability to figure out what is the direction of the push. That way, you can do that sort of like look separate away from what you're currently pushing. For Steamboat Chronicles, it basically simulates tank wheels. You push the right one, and the left one tugs along like a wheel would, and you can turn like that. Oh, I get what you mean. So there's like one. It's like testicles, right? You have like one main testicle. One hangs lower than the other. That's your main testicle, and then every like your other testicle is just there for like support and like warmth, and also to sometimes twist around the main testicle and then cause like blood loss. You know what happens, by the way? I actually am terrified of sleeping sideways. Because the way that I sleep, because my wife says this, where I sleep like a vampire, and then I explained to her the dangers of testicular torsion, and she was like, "Yeah, go." And then and then she was like, "Okay, go back on your back, honey. It's fine. Like I don't want you to lose your balls." And I was like, "Thank you, honey. Thank you for saving me." Anyway, so we now need a direction source. So something to feed the direction in. We need a way to temporarily modify this, so a public method of some kind. And then we need to somehow call this in a way that allows us to modify what's currently being pushed. So some of these are going to need different things, different components to be there to use, but at least this way we have a very clear separation of things that isn't in like one thing, and that way they can handle different things. So because this will only handle mouse look, which is fine. That's right, chat. Next time when you sleep sideways, be careful. Your balls might twist. Do you put your privates first or do you put your publics first? This is a code style question that everyone has a different answer to. I put my public stuff first because my privates stay inside of me, right? I know a lot of different code styles, like the Unreal Engine one. They do all of their protected and their private members first, and all their public stuff is at the bottom. So your public variables, I think, or maybe they do the variables at start. There's I can't remember which file, but all their public functions and methods go at the very bottom. So you read through all of this like stuff because in my mind, the top of the file that you first open to is like the most important stuff. The things that you need to know what's going to work with like stuff, right? And then the bottom is like stuff that is specific to internally what this thing does, right? So it's like in terms of importance, what it does on every update is pretty important. And then you go into your public methods, which are important because you're probably using them. Any private methods don't matter to you if you only care about the interface. And then your implementation is kind of that black box that you don't really have to care about. You just know that if you call look at, it'll look at something. And you don't need to learn about it. I say as I dove down into what a transform and a rotation does. But that's a whole different problem. I just don't know the engine, so I needed answers, okay? But we need to do a update. There's a problem. I want to do an update direction source. So let's do void. Like so. And then you get a direction source that's like this. I guess you can do a ref, which is fine. This should work. Oh, wait, this is already refed, right? I actually don't know the rules of C#. Like, do you need ref to say that it's there? Do you need ref to say that it's a stable reference? But even then, what does this mean, right? Can you copy it over? Does that really matter? It'd be nice to get a reference to it so that if it rotates, there's no need to constantly update this. But we also need some way to then, inside of this, to do temporarily store existing source somewhere else so we can flash back to it once this is done. Once this has outlived its usefulness, right? The problem is to do. How does this interact with garbage collection? Am I guaranteed that that reference is stable? What if it dangles? E.g., what happens if I delete the rotation source as it's trying to do this? This shouldn't matter in a practical sense, because realistically, I would only use this in the form of the player, and if their player disappears, like if the character model disappears, that would probably be a very edge case in the case of like maybe something like a bug happened, but there's no way to kill the player, right? Like there's no survival element. So this should never happen. But I want to encode the ability for that to never happen in my code. Like I want to make sure that my code can guarantee this at a code level and not from a business logic / use level, if that makes sense. Like I want to be guaranteed through my code that that will never happen. And if it does, and if it can happen, I want to be able to handle that case if it would happen as an error case of some kind for safety. But then how do you do that? I don't really know. I actually don't know. So we gotta do some reading. Hello, Martin Fowler. Join us as we need you here on the screen. I need you. I need you, Martin Fowler, to guide me through this trying time as we figure figure out how to code this. Okay, get rid of the shawarma, man. Is it okay? I still think it's shawarma. All right, is it not shawarma? Because I've seen shawarma done the exact same way, but the chat says that it's a donair. So it's like, but then somebody posted that it's like from the Levant region, and it comes in like the flat pita bread. But then it's like the way that the meat is like done, like the actual like grill thing, is the same. So does it really like what's the difference between shawarma and donair? And the reason why I said the UK is because the UK apparently has like the most shawarma / donair stands across like every other across like the Europe or like something. That was some statistic that I read like a long time ago, where like there was like a shit ton of it because it's like a very popular street food. It's that plus like, you know, the local places like Greg's and like stuff. Like, is this donair or is this shawarma? And what's the difference? And why does he have it on his arm? That's what I really want to know, is why is it on his arm? Why is he grilling from his arm? And just think about this from like a gameplay perspective, right? Or like from an anime perspective. Like they're trying to hide from Arasaka. Spoiler, sorry. Well, I mean it well, sorry. They're trying to hide from Arasaka, right? You don't like. I think those dudes probably smell this, or you know, they'll like see the heat. It's like when the FBI or the DEA uses drones to find the weed farms. They fly the drone over, and they see the heat coming through the like top of the rooftop. But instead of it being like weed being grown with like UV lights, it's donair being grilled on his arms and his chest. Oh man, that's good. That's really good. Anyways, Martin Fowler, we need you. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. We'll do Rouge. You think donair kebab is normally in a pita? Okay, so it's the bread that makes it then. Also, we can actually close this task. So the FPS controller is like done. I'm gonna open a new task called the object pushing. I really hate that clear current context thing. Shawarma is normally in a wrap. But what if you wrap it in a pita? What if you wrap, because a pita, you can like open the wrap. Like, because you can open the pita, put it in, and then you wrap up the pita, right? Like, what's the actual distinction? Because I've heard it's either I've heard maybe it's the like spices too. The meat is the same. Yeah, right? I guess that's the thing. I don't know if the meat's the same. I don't know if I've ever had I don't know if I've had donair proper. It didn't send any of your messages. Probably not. Sorry, chat. That's why the auto mod is like finicky. But it's there for thing. That's why it's. I'll tune it later. We spent 1 hour on the FPS controller. Okay, well that's no. You think it's your VPN? Oh. Well, have you tried Proton VPN? Proton VPN is actually pretty good. I don't use it anymore. I just use it for that one session, but for that gaming session, it was good. Rather the thing, the shawarma, that shawarma is made of. Because you also thought that it's a shawarma. Yeah, right. Like I thought it was the thing that shawarma. Well, I mean, it's because they're both made the same way, where it's like you're rolling on that like grill, and then they cut off slices of it, right? But I don't know if the meat makes it. Because I've had beef shawarma. Is that the same as like whatchamacallit? You know what I mean? As like doner? Maybe. I don't know. Public static, you don't care. It worky, me happy. You're not even happy. You're not even sure if Python has a public static thing. I think you can kind of, but it's mostly decorative, and so no one cares. I think it only has it in the sense of the static. But I remember there was like an edge case to it. I think the static. But you're right in that I don't think it really matters unless you're using modules of some kind. Uh, Actually, I don't recall anymore. I think it only really matters depending on how you link everything together. I think donaire just means spinning. No shit. Actually, my mind is blown. So you could have like long pig on the spit, and that would be a donaire. Wow. Cannibals are rejoicing right now. Wow. Yeah. I gotta tell this to my friends. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I have no clue about the Python thing. But yeah, I guess it makes sense if you just care about it working. But guess what, chat? Huh? A couple years down the line, you're gonna look at your code and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Oh, okay. Having a consistent system for yourself helps you in the future and helps anybody that you bring on to help you because you care about them, right? Do you care about them in the future? And kebab just means meat. Really? Holy shit! I always thought it was like the name of a dish. You know what I mean? Like a very specific style. Like it's like, what's like a good way to it? Ants on a log. Remember when we did Food Guesser and we saw ants on a log? I thought it was like that. I thought doner and kebab was like ants on a log. Maybe it's that one thing where shawarma went one thing originally, but then it started to mean another thing in many places. It could be that too. It could be that too, especially because it's a type of food that's found everywhere in like many different places, right? It could be. Maybe in the original tongue, it's known as a different way, and the way that it's sold to us Westerners or like people that aren't them. You know what I mean? It's like, because like when I sell my food from my culture, we call it beef noodle soup. In our culture, there's a specific name for it, but we recognize that there's no way people are gonna know it, so we just say like beef noodle soup, or like crab tomato soup, right? Like it's like a whole different thing. Maybe it's a rendering of the term "savarm" in Turkish, referring to rotisserie. Training, ha! That's what shawarma means. No shit. In Arabic. Ah, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. I really want a shawarma. I love shawarma. I want to end stream soon so I can go grab a shawarma. We'll solve this quickly. Okay, so we need to figure out the source. Okay, I need to figure out the garbage control. So I can just search this here. Garbage control. Garbage references. Like lifetimes. What happens if I query a component? Get in or self. You can get a component reference in one of two ways. Creates a property. You can drag any model. Require component. Oh, require component either has it or creates it. But then you must handle if it's not there. So you do need to handle it as a null property. So require component will just make it for you. Whereas the property is like, you can stick it in. But you need to stick it in. And then you need to handle if it exists. That feels awful. So to do this, I now need to know that this exists. Or I make my getter. Or I make my getter handle it for me. Here we go. What's the actual extended way of doing this? I actually don't know. The get accessor. What? How do you do both at the same time? Get. Oh, you use that. That's the format? Oh. So this is the default, but what I don't want is the default. The set is normal, but the get is this. Whoa, 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 whoa. The fuck? How do you make this like a function? Like, how do you make like a complex get? I guess you have to do it in one line. Sure. Okay. Can you do like this? And then if I guess you can't do anything complex, huh? Because what I want to do is just encapsulate the idea of like it has to be there. Like, how do I make it require something? And because the scenario that I'm trying to avoid is a null check in all of my code forevermore. Because I hate that. I hate having to do a null check everywhere, and I'd rather it just fail fast. I'd rather it just fail immediately so that I don't have to deal with the null check. But I don't want it to fail in like a very. Because if you can have it fail fast if you just handle it, assuming that it's there, right? And then whatever call site that it happens to go on, it'll just fail. But what I wanted to do is to fail in the same way every single time, so that I know what the problem is, and it doesn't mask itself as another problem as I go through the call stack and try to figure out what'll happen, right? But that's also a different concern. This is a bad idea. This is a different concern. It wouldn't work anyways because I need to figure out other things. Yeah, okay, fuck it. Previous original direction source. Yeah, okay. Is it even worth it to define the getters and setters if they're empty? I actually don't know. Like, what's the point of defining these? I don't know anything about C sharp. It's been so long since I used it. It's such a weird but good language, right? It's such a good advancement of like what C++ was into like something that's like a bit more, I guess, like safer, easier to use. That's also like different enough that you won't run into the same foot guns, but similar enough that some of your knowledge can transfer over into the equivalent language. But it's also weird in that it has a bunch of things that you need to figure out from a baseline perspective just to get started. Like the floor feels a bit higher than C++, which is understandable because it's like the floor is meant to protect you from the abyss, which is where you shoot yourself in the foot as you're doing your code and you accidentally have like a null dereference somewhere of like a pointer, and then all of a sudden you're like modifying someone's password, right? Like that, it makes sense why, but you know, it'd be nice not to have to learn all of this. And also this, well, whatever the fuck this is. This is the worst thing I've C+, this is why game developers like C sharp. The code is like a game, right? The game mechanic is how much mental damage can you inflict on yourself. Hey, why is it counting only 9? Okay. Okay, well, we're actually running out of time. We gotta go fast. Well, not really. We have like half an hour left. Also, if you enjoy the music, this is all from Knowledge. So, KNX LEDGE. Their YouTube channel, I think KNX on YouTube. They have all these, I guess, like mixes that they made. They made these mixes live on stream. He streams actually. So if you search up KNXWLEDGE Knowledge, where the O is an X, you can find them on Twitch. His streams are very interesting. He sometimes just does music. Most of the time does music. Sometimes does like watch parties of like fighting things. Plays fighting games. Very chill dude. It's a very quiet time. It's very nice. So I need to, I guess, store this. Yeah, okay. So as we set this, what does ref mean in this case? What does ref mean? Your reference variable. What by default is a reference and not a reference? The ref modifier. Because what's the defaults for certain things? Use a ref parameter. What is a reference parameters? Members of a class. Okay, well, safe context, combinations of parameter types. It's a reference type, not a value type. When a reference type is passed by value to a method, the method receives a copy of the reference to the class instance. Both variables refer to the same object. Right. Because the struct is a value type, it then gets copied as it gets a copy of the struct itself. Okay, so it doesn't matter specifically for class types. So for class types, you can ignore it. You apply one of the following parameters to a parameter declaration to pass arguments by reference to by value. And ref specifically means that it must be initialized before calling the method. The method can then assign a new value to the parameter, but isn't required to do so. Out means that the calling method, so the one that we're calling right now, so effectively this method, isn't required to initialize the argument before calling the method. What? Oh no, sorry. That's for the method. It's the same as in C or something. It's like it's the same concept where you have this thing and then you like pass. It's for the function. It's for the method to pass the value back. It's like a shitty return value. It's like a shitty return value. Actually, it's not really good. I would never use this. Actually, this is we moved away from this towards only return values for a very clear flow in your code structure. Because doing this is very complicated to keep in your mind because now you have two ways to return values. But it is an optimization in some very niche cases. Read-only ref. The method cannot assign a new value to the parameter. That's really what I want. What's in? The compiler might create a temporary variable to hold a copy of the argument to in parameters. What? Must be initialized. Can't assign a new value. Might create a temporary copy. So if you don't want a copy at all, and it's a read-only. This is basically a more strict read-only. Which doesn't really make sense. I don't really know why you ever use in. Okay, well, fuck it. The ref doesn't really matter, but it's nice anyways to specify it, I assume, because then anyone using this would, at least me, would understand that it's being used only to get a reference to the thing. However, is this read-only thing transitive? Like, if I do ref and read-only, does this mean that this will carry through to whatever I do with this thing? Please use language version preview. Suck. Because if you do this, let's say we were on the preview version, if we did this, and we're on ref read-only, what happens when we assign it here? Would I ever be able to use it? Because in Rust, for instance, right, you have this idea of mutability that you then specify. You specify the scope of the thing as you use it. Like, how would that work across all the, like, I miss Rust. I miss Rust when it was clearer, when your code couldn't code all of this. Fuck it, we'll do it like this. The original direction source equal direction source, and then direction source equal rotation. There we go. So now we have the original, and then when it's done, when you discard it, I guess the problem is, how do you know to discard it? I guess right before you do, when you let go of the mouse, it still knows what you're currently connected to. That thing would have to handle... Basically, this is at the whim of whoever calls it. This can't manage what it's doing, which makes sense. Like, it shouldn't care. It just cares about making sure that it remembers, right? It's like public void. Restore direction source. I guess that's fine. We'll see how this plays out in the end. I don't think this will work very well, because it's very confusing to use, but it should be okay. Right? And then original direction source equals, are there null values? I'm assuming, how do you like get rid of something? How do you get rid of something? How do you like clear C#, how to clear properties? Oh, well, C# empty. How to empty a variable? How to empty a variable? What am I doing? This is stupid. Wait, this will never change. As soon as you do this, as soon as you set it, the original direction source equals. How do you actually do settings? What the fuck is a setting? This is such a weird fucking, like, it's such a weird syntax. Oh, you have to actually specify it. Equals. What is the function parameter? Value? It's called value. What do I do? How do I do multiple things? I don't get it. I don't get it. What compile local? What was this? Must declare a body because if the property is not marked as abstract or extern. Get. Well, I think you'd want this, no? But also, I want these to be the same value. So direction source equals. There we go. Fuck it. To statement body. I'm sorry. That's the syntax. What? To init accessor. What? The fuck is an init accessor? What is this? C# init accessor. The hell is this? The unique keyword defines an access method in it only so that it extends the value to the property only during object construction. Oh. I don't want that. The reason being is that we actually do modify this. To statement body. Why do they stop that? Okay. To expression body. Which one do you want? Do you want this or do you want that? Accessor is recursive on all execution paths. Well, yeah, of course. I don't understand. I want to return this value. I know it's I know it's recursive. What I'm trying to do is I want to set both at the same time. We need to learn the syntax. Maybe we should have learned C# in the first place, right? Because the problem is that I don't want to make it an init setter. Because what'll happen is that... Oh, this is stupid. I fucking hate getters and setters. But it's true that I only want it to happen once. But I also want an init accessor that's separate. So its original direction source equals value. But you can't have both at the same time. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to do 3 different things. You still want to be able to set the variable. You want a copy of it for later, to use later. But you only really want to do that on construction. Why am I doing it here? Fuck it. Just do it on construction. Fuck it. But then, because it's a property, you don't have it on construction. Components. Component version, component methods. Okay, what's this? On load. What? It's meant for a component to load. This is what I need. When loading a scene, the loading screen will stay open. The game won't start until all on load tasks are done. You can override this component to do this in the load screen. When the component is enabled for the first time. Huh? Called of a frame. On validate. Called whenever a property is changed in the editor and after deserialization. A good place to enforce property limits, etc. Huh? So this is when the loading screen happens. This is when you validate things, right? This is when it's awake. Called once the component is created, but only if a parent game object is enabled. Called after deserialization and loading. By this point, do I have the value? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to keep the property in like one place. Because I don't want to do this every single time. Like, there's no point in me having to remember the original source constantly. I just need it to be there in the first place. When it's changed. When the property itself is changed. But does on validate... Oh, it only happens in the editor. Oh, wait, but in the editor... Is that also at runtime? Basically... When I have that link made the first time that it's set up, how do I then verify that works? Like, I would need it to be there on construction, but can you specify? Because components can be constructed, but you don't really go through the constructor. You just set a bunch of properties. And like the way that it is right now. Okay, wait. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. The way that you have a component now is that it gets constructed separately of its use. Like, it's like, you construct it, but it doesn't mean that it's ready because it doesn't really have a constructor. So you construct it, and it's already here. So what happens is that when you construct it, you then attach it to something. So you attach it to a game object. Then you fill out the properties, right? So then you add the properties. So there's no way to guarantee a creation flow of, like, it must have these values. Because otherwise, at runtime, it'd be confusing. What I want to do is, however, is still encode some steps that need to happen at runtime. In this case, I need to make sure that the original direction source is there when it's first set, but what does that mean? Basically, because we need to go back to this original direction when we're done modifying it for the sake of pushing. However, when do we set this? Like, when does this come into play? The reason why this is such a weird problem to solve right now is I don't know when. That's why. That's a problem. I don't know when this event. When do we need to care about this? Effectively, what do we consider the original? Is it only the first time? What happens if your character gets demolished? Like your character model, or you change character models. Let's say you want to load into like a tank or something. I don't know. And we change the body over to like a tank. Obviously, it wouldn't be like that. We would just attach it to a different game object. But let's say we do it like that and we build that system. Yeah, am I going too far? No. I think that's a fine concern, right? But when does this happen? When do I care about this happening? Listen, Chad, it's late. I'm tired, so. When do I care about this happening? Because at runtime, when players join, let's look at it from the holistic perspective. When do we make this? Like, when do we make these components? It's when a player joins. So this is kind of like a prefab that we instantiate, right? And the prefab, actually, this makes sense. So the prefab already has everything hooked up. So it's all already hooked up. So these three components are already like ready to go, and they've already got the bindings in. You know, the various properties are like set. All the different links are like there. Like it's already done. We just clone this thing. So when a player joins, we prefab clone. So we just care about it from the value of the editor. And because it's a prefab, presumably that would just be done once. So we just take whatever the initial value is. Okay. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. But how do you, like, what is the on awake? When the component is created, but only if a parent game object is enabled. What's the difference between awake and enabled? On disabled, on destroy. When it's enabled for the first time. Yeah, let's do on start. Okay, we'll do it on start because this is the one that really matters because it's a prefab. Everything will start at least once until the player leaves, and then when the player leaves, we just destroy it, and then all the stuff is lost. And because it's like a self-contained thing, it doesn't really matter. Okay, yeah, fuck it, yeah. Fuck it. Fuck it. Okay, we do yeah, okay, we do yeah, get set. Okay, then we do compile local. What? Well, why are you mad? Oh, right, that other question. How do you clear fuck it, you don't really want to clear it. Fuck it. No need. Do this. You just do direction source equal thing. Still need to figure out how the references work. It should be okay. I'm assuming that will happen and something will break, but let's just ignore this for now. This is gonna be an edge case that will bite us in the ass eventually. Yeah, it doesn't really matter now. We now need to do protected override on start. There we go. I don't know if you need to call the base. What does the base even do? I'm pretty sure this is just like it's a virtual, yeah. So if it's virtual, you don't need to call the base because there is no implementation. Your original direction source equals your direction source. That way, it's always there. And then when you update it, you update it to that new one. When you want to restore it, you have to call it back. So whatever is like touching this thing needs to be aware of the fact that like you gotta make sure this is in like a good state. What the fuck did I just do? To public to internal. To property with backing field. To commuted value. What? No. What? Okay. Cool. Yeah. Good. Okay. So we do that, and then my look controller. No, this doesn't matter. We take the transfer. We take the rotation of this. and then we drag it into that one. Okay. What I care about is from the perspective of the snowplow controller. When you're going to plow, you need to do start searching in front for things to plow. Okay? Okay, we'll just do this. Alright? Start searching for things in the front to plow. When found, update its... update the land movement controller to the rotation of the game object we're plowing. Is this stupid? Why is it separated then? Like, why is it separate? I don't want to get too separate because then it's like it has to care about what it is. Like, why would they ever care about it being separate? I guess it really matters because then different players can do that to you too. Like, that's the problem, is that different players can do it to you too. So this is gonna have like a bunch of different logic in it that's about different players too. But players are of the same thing. I don't know, fuck it. Whatever. It's too late now. We'll just go back to it, okay? But this should mean that everything gets handled from that perspective. So this is only going to care about this one particular thing. Yeah, it's fine. Fuck it. Whatever. I don't know why I split it out so granularly, actually. This shouldn't have been so granular. I made the component too granular, so it has to be useless. I should have just made it... It's like a combined thing. It's far too granular now to like do anything. Okay. Things to plow. When found, update the land move controller to rotation of the game object we're plowing. Calculate a push force and a direction vector, and then apply it to the thing. And then this has to be an RPC call, though. Because either the host must update the force, because the host must be the one to update the force applied, and then their resulting physics is just replicated to everyone else in the form of the final transform. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, cool. So how do you do a ray trace? How do you do a ray trace? Do you see why programming is kind of a weird space, chat, and why it's so hard to like do? It's very interesting to sort of try to, I guess, like talk about it, because so much of your thoughts, like, you need a very structured thought when you're going through it, right? But when you're prototyping something new for the first time, you're really kind of going through a lot of the prototyping on the fly, because there's only so much that you can do if you don't know the framework. I mentioned this last time, actually. One of you said, you know, how come we don't build like the lower level stuff first? And I explained it poorly. But it's hard to build a lower level when you don't even know the technology that you're using, and then when you also don't even know what you want to do. So you end up in a situation where you need to do discovery at the same time as you code it. And so it's very fast and loose, and so where your abstractions will probably get redone over and over and over. And so there's no point to really put too much thought into it because you're still trying to figure out the things that you don't know yet. And it's better to do it that way if you're doing something completely greenfield from like a knowledge perspective, as well as from like a what you're going to be like eventually typing perspective. Because I don't know anything about s&box nor C#. I know a basic amount of both now. And as we figure out more, my approach changes. So there's no need to lock us in with a long, you know, architectural design ahead of time. We just make it up on the fly, and if it doesn't work, then we can go back to it and then refactor it later. It's not a big deal. For something that's really meant to be a quick game jam type of thing, where it's like 1 week it's done, 2 weeks to polish. It's a good time frame. Tracing. Scene trace array. Dot run. Dot what? Trace 2,000 units in I direction. Ignore all entities. What the fuck does that mean? Alright. Scene. Dot trace. Dot. I do want to do a ray trace. Wait, size. There's a sphere trace. Make this trace and access a line box of given size. Extracts mins and maxes from the box. You can also sweep. That's useless. I mean, basically, the push force is like a hit scan. It's wherever your cursor is, right? So it doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, we also need to add a cursor. Wait, sorry, that's one of the things we need to do. Snowjob. Snowjob. Trace my sphere, baby. That's the hard hitting commentary that I need here to keep me going. Cursor, so we can see the middle of the screen. Otherwise, it's like trying to snipe in Counter-Strike without scoping. That's basically what the current issue is. We'll do it later. So we now need the ray. However, physics trace. What is this parameter? The beginning one, the vector. Aim ray. So it's like where we're looking. It's why it says in I direction. So you give it a direction, but you also ignore all entities. How do I then scope it to the entity that's being hit? Oh. God. Oh, God. Cast a ray from given position and direction up to a given distance. And then I need to see how many hits there are. And I'm assuming hit is somewhere here. So what was it again? It's got dot hit. So if I search for hit, use hitboxes. What? How do I define like a custom hitbox? So like a filter. Hit triggers. Hit triggers only. What? Hit triggers? Hit only triggers. Do not hit static objects. What? Ignore static, ignore dynamic, ignore keyframed. The hell is a static object? What's a static object? What's the difference between a static and a dynamic object? We don't know. But there's also like it's why it's in it's in the filter group. Run the trace and record everything we hit along the way, or return the first result. This is impure. Why is it impure? What does that mean? What's an impure action? Huh? Impure. This is I feel like we're like trying to figure out what is like a VTuber. Like, are you say so or are you non say so, right? Return true if we should hit this shape. We purposely keep this locked down. Don't offer a user specified callback. Oh, right. Okay, sure, fine. So there's no way for us to specify a filter. Basically, what I'm trying to figure out is there a way for me to specify a filter as part of this ray trace? Or do I just have to filter it after the fact, right? I feel like it'd be easier, because in my mind, right, you have to filter at some point to only the things that you care about, okay? Like, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. Most ray traces will only really matter in terms of what you need to hit. So let's say you do a ray trace like this, and it hits like 3 different things, okay? 3 different boxes, right? And only this box is the one that you care about. It's almost like as it does the ray trace, you'd want to see, okay, well, is it worth it for us to even ignore these or to keep going with the trace, right? The way it is right now, if you want to know whether or not the thing you hit is the thing that you need, which should only be the first thing anyway, so there's a way to stop the trace after the first hit, is you have to do like this. Hello, chat. So let's say the first thing you want is like this, okay? You do the trace, it stops here, which is great because it stops there. However, how do you tell it to then ignore it? I guess you just check it. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess this one only matters. Let's say if you're doing a shooting game, well, you've got the op, okay? Let's say you've got the op in like a CS:GO. Yeah, that's the op. I know it looks like a TMP from CS Source, but it's the same thing, okay? And you want to see, okay, well, what are you going to hit, right? You want to do damage to players, but you want to do... I guess you would still do it a different way. You just, like, call, like, a damage thing on every single thing. But let's say one of these is a thing that you can hit, and this is, like, the skybox. So let's say you're aiming upwards, and this is the sky. So it can go infinitely. Well, I guess that wouldn't really matter. I don't know what I'm talking about. None of this really matters. Because then you would just specify every single thing that it could hit has like a function of like what to do when you hit, and then you just run the same thing on every single one. It doesn't really matter. I was just gonna say, like, basically, if you're doing a ray trace where you need to collect the results but also filter them. Let's say you're doing a ray trace where you have to get all the results and then filter them. It doesn't make sense for the ray trace to collect all of your results into an array, into a collection of some kind, right? So 1, 2, 3. Pass it on to you to then filter out which one do you need. Right? To then filter out which one you need. For you to then trim it down into only the ones that you need. So let's say I only needed 2 and 3. When it could do that and not have to pass anything out, and it could encapsulate this step inside of its interface, that way your calling code gets simpler. Like, this could be engine code versus your code. So I was just thinking like this could just be the engine code. So like the engine code for like ray tracing, right? For ray tracing, it encapsulates the filter, and it encapsulates the actual trace itself, right? Then your user code only has to deal with. So this is like user code. In this case, it's like the developer's code that you're writing. It only needs to deal with using the results. So you move the responsibility to filter into a whole separate step. You still need I guess it doesn't really matter because you have to define this anyways. If this is user defined, does it really matter where it happens? I guess not. I guess you'd only care about this in very memory constrained situations where passing something like this into something else, you'd have to keep so much information. Whereas, like, at the moment as you pass through, you can run the function, see if it works. If no, then you discard it. You don't even store it in this, like, container. So you ignore the allocation cost. Yeah. Then it would matter because then you could do it over here before you put it into the container, ignore the allocation cost, and then keep on going. Right? And the allocation would be small because it's a reference. It's why it would only be an edge case that's only useful in very, very memory constrained situations, which I don't think would ever matter. So it's a micro optimization, and like my micro brain, it's useless. But maybe it could be useful. I don't know. In my case, it's not useful. In a shooting game case, it's not very useful either. But in a case where you want to optimize for memory use, there's no need to allocate a reference to it into this container to then bring it around. When you can just ignore it entirely, don't even allocate it, then all of a sudden you no longer have the space. It only takes up two spaces, right? That could be a better way of doing it. So this gets canceled and this goes in, this goes in. If you do the filtering at this step, because either way you have to do the filtering somewhere, doing it at the source saves you this. But it's complicated. Fuck it. I don't care anymore. Fuck it. So we don't need this. I also only care about the first hit. So, ray, and then, yeah, so into the direction. Why does it say in ray? Huh. Oh, I guess I can, like, construct a ray beforehand to like, do. Okay, that's interesting. But I need a direction. So it's whatever the direction that we're facing is. You're not sure if you were around to hear the idea of the game. What's it about? Oh yeah, it's a game about pushing snow. It's literally just a game about building snowmen. So everybody is in this shared world. You push snow, like you actually roll the snow into larger balls, and you just build snowmen. But like people can push against you or push with you by running a train on you, and then you can maybe like paint the snow. It's just a very small game jam idea that's simple to implement, but still kind of interesting because it's also like based around a particular season that's coming up soon. So it's fun for people to like play to make funny, weird structures, right? Not so complex to be like an art game, not so simple so as to be like a Minecraft, the way you build very naturally. There's some friction in the way that you push, and the fact that other people are like there leads to like a natural weird space where people can either cooperate or like not cooperate. And then it's also like a zen, sort of like slow, very peaceful game where you're just there pushing snow to build something. It's really to capture that feeling of building a snowman IRL, right? I think it works out as a concept. So we're trying to make this work now. Where do we go? I don't know where do you trace? how do rotations work in relation to each other? So if I have this, the camera is here. I'm moving this. If I add another object under this, create a child called just an empty one called fake child, and just make this at 0, 0, 0. So it's all at the same location. Okay. If I rotate the camera and fake child is attached to the camera, does it rotate my child? Like, does my child get rotated around? I really hope not. Sacre bleu. It's not moving. I know why it's not moving. I don't actually have the look controller. There we go. Is my fake child? No, my fake child has its same direction. Oh fuck, that's so weird. Oh right, because we haven't hooked up the actual we haven't hooked up the direction source thing yet. Right. Yeah, this makes sense. So when the camera moves, the rotation of the thing itself is not moving. Why does that matter for this piece of code? Like, why do I care for this piece of code? So this would have to be attached to the camera. Basically, what I'm trying to figure out is where do I attach this component to? To the camera? That's the thing that rotates, because the camera would rotate separately from the body. These two just happen to be tied, but let's say you're moving around. Then what do you do? Well, I guess no. You just attach it to the body, because the body by default would be rotating anyways, and then it would just everything else would just kind of layer up into like a normal thing. Yeah, okay, let's do it like based on our local thing. Oops. How do you do the parent? No, not the parent. So local rotation dot forward, and then I don't know, like 50. How far are the units? Like, how far is 50 units? Is there a way to debug the trace to see the length? Debug drawing. Here we go. Draw a line. This is going to be very annoying, isn't it? If we hit draw a sphere. Gizmo. That only applies within a thing, I'm assuming. And you draw within a position to the end position. Okay, well. Is there a way to say if debug mode, or does this already do a debug mode check? Draw.line. So my current position, which is transform.local dot position to transform dot position dot plus, this is gonna be stupid. This is very stupid. Transform dot local rotation dot forward plus times 50. Yeah. Because then I want to do a ray trace from where the thing is currently in world space to where the thing will be further out. Wait. Based on where it's currently looking, and then multiplied by 50 in engine units. That way I can see what the hell this is. And then I'm assuming this already has a debug check, but I don't really know. Add line internal. It doesn't have a debug check. So how to only do this in debug mode? In debug/dev, does this already contain a check where it only runs in that moment? I don't know. Fuck it. Let's see. Okay, mouse look is not enabled, but doesn't really matter. This isn't even attached to anything, so that doesn't work. The snowplow controller also goes on this, and then the look controller goes onto this. Then the moving controller needs a direction source that's a rotation. Oh boy, how do I get it to be like based on something else? I don't want it to be a rotation. I want it to be based on some other thing. Okay, all right. This is okay. We're getting it's getting harder. As with all things, when things get harder, sometimes it's not as fun, right? Sometimes it gets even harder. Component references. Because rotation is not a component. A transform is a component. Oh, okay. Transform. Sure. Fuck it. That's a lot of information to pass just to have it transformed to know what the rotation is, but sure. Whatever. Because it doesn't really matter. And then we rename this to... what's the hotkey for rename so I can do this more often? Shift F6. What the fuck is that hotkey? Transform. There we go. That way. Yeah, okay, so we do that. Okay, now I should see a better reference to it. Like so. Oh, wait. Here we go. So see how I can drag it in? Can I now drag this transform into... I don't know how do you set this reference? You would use it through action graph. I'm assuming through action graph you could then set this reference. How do I then do it like an action graph? Action graph. I don't know what to do with this. How do I actually set this? How do I set this reference to something? How do I make it know that it's a reference? You know what I mean? How do I make this know that it's a reference? Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, that's confusing. Okay, we'll do it like this. Let's just try this. Foo. I don't really care about this. Let's name an actual, like, component. Does it only work with components, basically, is what I'm trying to figure out. So now, this has a foo. It's a different field compared to the transform field. How do I get the same result? How do I get this, that I can, like, look into this and then have it reference something? And how do I, like, actually tie it together? Like, how do I do this? What is the UI action in the editor to combine these? Oh, no. Okay, does the documentation say anything about this? Is there was a UI section here somewhere. Editor overview. That's a browser console. There's a command line interface thing. Toolbar. Drop selected object. Toggle gizmos. Record developer console. Okay, well, I think maybe that's outdated. So, editor. Editor, tools, editor. Editor, component editor tools. Here we go. Work a lot like editor tools, but they're always active when a specific component is selected. Oh, that's a different thing. Okay, well, that's a whole different thing. Editor. Apps, or apps that run in the editor. Okay, well, that's a different thing. Sorry. Editor. Component editor. We've got an experimental library that lets you build custom component text. That's a different thing. Editor. Fuck. It's the same. It's the overview page. Oh fuck. Ownership. That's for networking. Huh. For property to be usable, it takes no parameters from nothing. Clicking on the empty action will create a new action graph and start editing it. Adding parameters. Here we go. We want to be able to pass some parameters, use a different delegate. Okay, here we go. Open up a graph. The other way is to use a custom delegate type. I want to do this, but allow me to select something. How do I select something? Variables in action graph. Enter the action graph. Action graph is a visual scripting language. Do you need like you need to use the built-in component actions? Component actions. I mean, these only exist if the component itself specifies this. If it doesn't specify this, it's impossible. How do we hook these up? How do we hook these up? How much will it cost? Okay, well, it's stupid sausage. Okay, it's not stupid. Okay, I actually like Terry. All right. Fuck. You know Terry's dying. Yeah, Terry's getting thrown out with the arrest. How the fuck do you use this? Shadow FAQ. How to get access? How many players can now? The map size is infinite. The built-in networking system supports a maximum of 64 players. Good to know. Good to know. Let's fix that right now. Let's oops. Okay, that's my bad. That explains why there's a number there. Let's fix that right now. We can fix it. Okay, not 10,000. It's level streaming a work in progress feature. You can probably implement this yourself if you like programmatically chunk up your scene into different pieces and then you stream it in from like a file. And then you do the load on your own, like manually. But I'm assuming they don't even expose the ability to load things. How the fuck do you link things in the UI? How do I drag the thing into this thing? How do I do this? I want to. Oh wait, here we go. You drag the entire component in, like you drag the entire thing in, and I'm assuming. Okay, if this works, I should be able to then see the values. So if wait, stop. So stop that. Yeah. Okay, so if you drag this in, I'm assuming what the editor does is it looks for the transform components on this thing. Okay, well now I can't do that. What happened? It says none look controller. Why is it stuck? What happened? Huh? I don't get it. Wait, excuse me? What did I do before that made it work? Hello? What did I do before that made it work? Huh? What did I do? I did something before that made it work. And now it doesn't want to work. I don't get it. Did that dragging that in make that work for the direction source? I don't know. Because it doesn't have a look controller. That's why. It didn't have a look controller, so I couldn't drag it in. But now I can drag it in, because now it has a look controller. But does that matter compared to just dragging it in? Like, because I can drag the camera into this, it seems like. Into any of these. Does that change anything or no? No, it doesn't. Okay, so you have to do it like that. Okay, so my assumption was correct that it'll try to find that exact thing on that component. But I only want the transform. I know what to do. Yeah, there we go. I think that's what you got to do. Well, I mean, let's just try this out first. Right? I'm assuming that's what you have to do. There we go. Now you have a game object. On that game object, you get the thing. Okay, fuck it. I know. I understand now. Because the transform is a value type. It's not a reference to anything. So you have to use like a reference to something, whether it's like like a game object or which I don't know if a game object is a component. That feels like it's just the base level thing, and then from there you would get the component off of it. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, and then okay, now it makes sense. So now you shift F6 to game object. Ooh, that's a disgusting name. Okay, whatever. So now you get the game object, and then from the game object you have the current transform. So it's like the transform of the thing. What the music stop? Sorry. Now you're back to drum and bass. Sorry, Chad. That playlist is a done. Yeah, fuck it. It goes direction source, not game object, because the direction source is a game object. Then you get the transform of this. Well, just a rotation. Well, yeah, just a rotation because we have multiple different angles that we need. So I guess local rotation. I guess it doesn't really matter. Local, just do local, and just don't have this thing be apparent. Basically, the character must not have a parent of anything but the scene itself. It must be at the top level, which is a good assumption to make. And if we attach it to something, we can then do local movement. It's separate from the thing itself. There's no need to do math on it. It's way easier. Okay, cool. Then we replace all of these calls. So transform.location. How do I do this across multiple fragments? I don't think it supports the thing, so I'm just gonna do this. Can you do multiple cursors again? Fuck. Fuck. How do you do? Oh, wait, maybe it does. What's the thing again? S/. Maybe it does. It just doesn't highlight it. I think it does work. Okay, so S/. Okay, well, don't do that. So S/ transform dot local rotation Into rotation. Okay, well that didn't work. Is this wrong? It just doesn't work. Maybe the Vim plugin doesn't work as well as I thought it would. Okay, well that's fine. We just I'm too lazy to learn the actual things, so we're just gonna do it like this, okay, chat? I know this is stupid. I know this is stupid, but we'll learn the other hotkeys afterwards. So now I want it to pull from this specific source that it needs to rotate on. Okay, so now I have the ability to base the rotation of the main character's like body, the movement, um, independently from where you look, which allows us to push things. That's a fairly simple model, which allows us to do fun things like this. So right now, the way that you churn the body is the same as the way that you look with the camera. See that? So now it's hooked up. So if I move the camera, the forward vector is taken from the source of the camera because it is the current direction source. However, let's say in the middle of the game, you decide to change it because you want to push that snowball, right? So now this cube, let's just say this is a fake snowball. So let's do fake ball. This is a fake ball. All right, that's a fake ball. Let's say we now update it at runtime. What ends up happening is that you can now move to like theoretically this would push the ball too. Imagine this is pushing the cube as well. But as you're pushing it, you could also look around to see like what's like happening. Because then that way you can like push independently of the way that you look. Let's see if this feels good. If it doesn't, we'll just make it based on the way that you look is the way that you push. Because maybe that's a simpler model to understand. But this way, you can kind of keep pushing in one direction. Let's just say you want to get like a really massive ball. You can just keep pushing in that one direction while you're talking to your buddy who's like beside you, right? In the future, when this has voice chat, I don't know if this has voice chat. Does it have voice chat? Voice. 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 It has voice chat. No audio ducking. Can play them positionally. See that? What did I say? Right? So now you're walking with your buddy, pushing your snowball. They can walk alongside you and you guys can talk about things. Or you can try to convince them, like, hey, you over there, help me push this, right? And then they can be like, fuck you! And then they like go off and do their own thing. I think that's perfect. It's good. Okay, fuck it. The system works. It's good. There's no way to test this, by the way. Gameplay testing is the other hard part. Where it's like, there's no way for us to like verify that this works in an automatic way. In an automated way, we just have to keep doing it and then hoping that that still works, but like from change to change. But it's a good system. Okay, so that works out fine. So now when you're looking around, that's okay. How to do this only in debug/dev. Does this already contain a check where it only runs in that moment? I don't know. Let's see if this works. So now the snowplow controller. Let's see how far this is. Let's not do any ray traces yet because I don't know if there's a performance consideration necessarily, but let's just do a gizmo draw and see how this works. So right now, this is also on the character itself. So this is on the character itself, just a temporary character. Why is it so far away? What the fuck is going on? Do you see that? What's that? Where is it? Huh? What? Oh, yeah, sorry. Maybe put it on the camera instead. Maybe put it on the camera. Because the thing's direction, the forward direction of the thing that's moving is technically separate from what's happening with the camera. It's oh fuck. It's okay, so because it's not synced up. It's not synced up. I know why. It's not synced up. What you saw there, so what you saw here, if I WASD and I draw that, right? You see how if I press A and D, it goes kind of the same way, but not really. Obviously, it's like it's inverted, but you see how it follows my WASD movement, but not my camera movement? There's a reason for that. It's because right now, the facing of the body and the facing of the camera are two different things. One is based on WASD, one is based on thing because I haven't synced them. It's literally a tank and like a turret. Realistically, this should be syncing up the direction of this with the direction of this. Realistically. Which actually makes it even easier, because then I just go like this. So whatever I did in this file, just do undo. Fuck. Really, what I want to do is the transform. Oops, not text transform. Sorry, transform dot. The rotation in world coordinates, the rotation in local coordinates, equals the rotation, the direction source rotation. This also is nice because what ends up happening is that as the ball rotates, let's say somebody else is pushing the ball in a different way, because the whole goal of this is to have the ability for you to attach to different things, and your movement follows that thing, right? If we base your rotation on the object that you're pushing, what happens is that if the ball is pushing towards this way, you will naturally sort of move to turn this way as well. Like there's like a one-to-one mapping. I don't know how that would work though. Do you want that? You don't want that actually, because you want to continue pushing the way that you're pushing, independently of what somebody else is like doing. So actually, you don't want to modify it. Is that good? Yeah, you don't want to modify it. You want your direction to be stable depending on the direction that you're pushing. This is just the output direction. So you don't want this actually. So you don't want this. You don't want this. So I gotta do all that again. So how do I do this? Well, where do I draw the gizmo? 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 And where do I do that? I guess I could do it on the camera. What's weird about this is that I want to draw the gizmo from the perspective of the camera, right? So let's say this is the camera. I want to draw the gizmo from the perspective of the camera, but the push force logic needs to be from the direction of the body. Like that's the direction that your push force is like in, right? It should always be projecting out from your body because you can look around in like different ways. Otherwise, if you look over here, the push force, I can see the bug, would all of a sudden be translated, even though you're facing like this, it would actually go like this. If it's based off of your camera. Like, the debug is different from the thing. Okay, so the debug is different from the thing. That's easy. So, actually, well, we know how far it is now. It doesn't really matter. But this still makes sense to put onto the body. You almost want to do this separately. Fuck. Oh, now my debug tool is separate from the actual thing. I feel like I've done a bad thing here, and we're gonna have to untangle this eventually. But I'm too tired to like care. I've done a bad thing. So we run this. We get one result. Wait, well, yeah, not results equal result. So we have one trace result here. And then if result dot what is the result? What's a trace result? It works fine from a functional perspective to the game, but for the debug drawing, it doesn't really feel good. That's fine. So what is a scene trace result? It has the scene that this is on. So if you have multiple, can you have multiple scenes? I don't know if that's possible. What? Can you? There's no way. Yeah, why would you ever have a different scene? There's only ever one scene. So why would it ever be possible for you to have multiple scenes? Like, this would always be true, because you can only be loaded into one scene, no? I'm assuming maybe this is in their future plans for the open world stuff. Like the idea of level streaming. Because when you level stream, you would have different scenes based on the section of the world. Which is the way it's currently done in like other engines. Which it makes sense from a logical perspective. So it's like, let's say you're making Cyberpunk 2088, right? You would divide your game world into scenes. Each scene would be its own thing, and your level editors could work on each one separately. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. This way, you would be able to know where the entity is, because presumably, For you to query it, you wouldn't want to query entities across every single scene because that would be expensive. You should be able to specify where your ray is going, what scene it's in, right? So like which scene it's in, what entities you care about, and therefore the like yeah, you would specify the scene where the query matters. I guess scene filter on query. I guess that's the only reason I would see this being possible, and this is all conjecture at this point. That's the only reason that I see for them wanting to do that separation. That's the only reason that would make sense to have this on here. Whether the trace hit something or not, is there a hit? Okay, so if it's hit, if result.hit, well, let's just let's negate this so that it's easier. We just return. So I like this style, by the way, because if you do all your logic inside of here, what ends up happening is that you go into too many levels of like nesting where your code is hard to read. If you do the opposite way, where you do all your logic here, and you do like, okay, what happens when you hit something, right? To do something, if you have to go even further, right? It's like holy shit, how far do you go? Doing it like this means that you can just stay in the same level. But it really only matters if you have like an easy way to like exit. Like if you have easy ways to stop doing things. So now, if I look at this, then I look at this. Start position, end position. Hit position. Where it hit. In the position, in the world, I'm assuming. Within the scene, at least. Within the scene itself. A fraction of the trace where the start of the trace of where the trace hit between the start and the original end positions. I'm surprised that they expose this. I'm surprised that they calculate this. This seems like a waste to calculate when you calculate it yourself. And when this is a very I wonder where you would ever need this to happen. Like when would you ever care about a fractional result? Where you trace at a certain distance. You know what? I know where. When you care about no, it doesn't make any sense. I was gonna say if you care about like a representation of like damage, like CS:GO and CS Source, well, CS2, you know how in CS like it's you're a sniper rifle at like a very long range, like even like an op won't kill someone. I don't think to like a body shot at a very long range. No map has this, but or how like a pistol at like longer range does like less damage or like something. I don't know if that's still true actually. I actually don't know. What gun has a longer range, lower damage thing? It's hard to remember because all the maps in CS are so small that you pretty much never run into this scenario. Except for maybe Inferno Mid. But basically that. Like, then you would care about it. But only if your representation of the distance could be expressed as a percentage. Which it probably could. And then you'd have to do some UI translation of, like, what is a meter in the game. But fuck it. That's too hard. The component that was hit. The game object. The component that was hit. Huh. But we need the game object that was hit. So the game object that was hit. If this game object. If result. Dot game object. And this is where I kind of wish like you could do that rest thing where it guarantees that it's there because there's a hit. Get component. Has component. Is there like a component thing? Components. Access components. No, I don't want access components. Is there a way to like... How do I filter... How do I see what components are on something? Component markers? What? There are various interfaces that may be given. Component mark with execute and it will also execute these methods in edit mode. Don't do that. That's weird. Collision listener. Can react to physics collisions. We might need this at some point. Because we do need to listen to collisions. Maybe it's better to listen to collisions. Is that annoying though? Basically, should we do the ray trace way or do we listen to collisions? If we do collisions, you technically collide with the floor constantly. So this would always be called and you'd be filtering like on every frame that you hold down the left click button. Across everything. Like it would just keep showing up as the floor has collided with you. Whereas, if you do the ray trace, you only care about what's in front of you in a specific particular direction. Okay, fuck it. We do ray trace. That's not it's not useful. What? A helper interface to mark components that can be damaged by something. Huh. What? I got damaged for damage by damaged attacker. Get camera components. Screen pixel to ray. That is very handy. Wait a minute. That's only if you have a camera component. Yeah, fuck it. Whatever. What I'm trying to think of is where you put this. What is the source of this forward? To do, this is the reason why this felt weird. It isn't just forward from local rotation. It's from a specific source. What's the source? And when does that change? Right? It's on your camera unless you're currently plowing something. If you're currently plowing something, pressing it down doesn't matter. You almost skip all of this. You skip this whole section of like doing stuff. So it's like either while it's down, you either find a plow target or you continue your plow motion, which probably doesn't even have to happen. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, sure. This feels overly complicated for just wanting to plow someone. I feel like it's easier to like plow someone than I realize. No, this feels like a lot of like ceremony just to plow someone. Can't you plow someone for like free? I don't know. It seems easy. Cool. Is plowing equals false? There we go. It's currently plowing. Okay, so if, and then it's like, okay, fuck it. Let's do it like this. Private void find plow target. I don't know. Like find fuck it. Find plow target for now, and then all of this would actually go inside here. And then it's like, okay, well, what would you do here? And then it's like, okay, well, now it's the conditional of like what you would do. If is plowing, if you're currently plowing, you just don't even bother. Like if you're not currently plowing, you find a plow target. There we go. Fuck it. Because then it would matter. Because then it's like, when would this actually come into play? Then you would need a specific transform that would handle the source of this. Yeah, okay. That's why this feels weird. This and this has to interact. That way, when you're doing something, it pushes. And then this specific forward is not a specific forward. Okay, so okay, whatever. That's for later. That's for later. How the fuck do I get a component? Components. Adding components. Here we go. Get all. It literally is in that. Okay, it's in the container components dot. Get disabled components. And there's a find mode. There's an enum that you specify to specify the filters of where you find things. Whether on yourself or on thing. What? And self. What? In ancestors and self. I see. So whether you go up the component tree. That seems like a lot. But maybe we do need that. Because if you trace something and you hit the camera, is that bad? No, that's not bad. You would just need to hit you would just need the hitbox of everything that doesn't matter to be non-existent, which I think is a fine concern to have. Because why would they hit? Yeah, fuck it. It's too much logic. So dot get by get a single component from a game object. Okay, so get and then what's the type of it? I don't know. What am I looking for? I need like a marker component to do. We need a marker component. Something that says, okay, wait, so now, yeah, this is the thing that I said last time, I think, right? We need like a marker component to know whether or not it's like there. I'm pretty sure I said like marker marker component, marker, right? Like a tag component. Here we go. Yeah, can probably just be a tag component. Some way to specify what can and can't be pushed, since you could otherwise probably push the game world. So this is what we're doing now. So now we need to be able to handle churning. But no. What have we done? On push action, ray trace what's in front of you. Sure. Needs weight behind the churning so it at least feels good. This is really in the churning section. Churn. There we go. Churn goes over here. Oops. So churn goes over there. We've done the ray trace, so it's fine. But we also need the component. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's no built-in way to do this, so we just do this. Okay, good. So now we do the... Okay. Man, object pushing has a lot of things to it that I didn't realize would be very, very complicated. Can push. Fuck it, we just do can push. It's just a normal component that just sits there. And we just leave it there. And it doesn't really have anything. It's just there to mark something, right? It's just there to be marked. That way we know whether or not this thing can be pushed. Because there's no other way to filter. Can push. I don't think there's another way to filter, and I don't want to look too far into it. So we do this. What? Cannot implicitly convert can push to bool. Not equal null. So if it's not null, God, is there really no better way to like do this? Like to get the existence of something? I guess like because getting the existence of something is the same as getting the thing. So there's no point in them doing it because then you just do the code yourself. But I imagine this is a common enough operation that you'd want to do this constantly. Because presumably many things can only affect certain things, right? Let's say you make any action RPG game, you can only hit certain entities. Say you have like invincible NPCs, right? That seems like not everyone wants to make like a Dark Souls. Most people want to make like a Zelda, where you can't kill the old man after you take a sword. So I assume this is like a very common operation. Fuck it. I hate programming so much. So if it's not null, we know that we can push this thing. So to do, attach to it now. Attach to it now, and what do we do from here? So now we can attach to it. We have the way to know whether it can be pushed. We can do the ray trace now. Need to consider what can and can't be pushed via component similar to CamPlow. Looking at reusing... Well, nothing in the physics engine can be used here. On collision stuff doesn't really work. It's its own separate thing. Can push, it should be renamed to CamPlow. I like that name, CamPlow. It's like Ken Lee. Can plow. Plow. Sorry, my thing. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so now can plow. If it has the can plow, then we know it's there. So now we attach the character to it. It's why I'm wondering where this transform is going to come from. Like, what's the source of this, basically? Fuck it. We'll also do like the same thing that we did here. Just cause I think that's probably the easier way to handle it. I hate that that's a multiple lines. Fuck it. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, fine. Direction source. We do this. Direction source. Let's transform the local rotation forward. We then run it based on the camera source. This will always be the same as the camera. So when found, update the land moving controller to the rotation of the game object we're plowing. So we need to know that this thing has to be placed with a land movement controller. Does that make sense? I guess it's better to just hook it up inside the editor because I don't want to deal with like magical things. But also like it's stupid then that this is separate. It seems stupid that it's separate now. Yeah, fine. Is plowing, sure. Okay, so now, whatever. When found, update the land moving controller. So land, wait, well, actually, just do this over here. And then we just do a return again. That way it's like not too far, equals. Please don't tell me C# has like a triple equals like in JavaScript. Please tell me they have a sane equality operator. Please. I'm begging you. Thank God. I don't know why. I know why JavaScript has the 2 versus the 3, but I hate it. Don't imagine if there was like 6 of them. Can you imagine? I would be sad. So this is normal. Okay, so now we go over here. Then we gotta do we gotta update the land movement controller. We need to update the direction source to the rotation of the game object that we're applying. So we have the game object. Huh? Can you get multiple game? Can you get multiple components from one thing? I need to close this. Can you get multiple components from something? Can you specify? I guess the template only has one, huh? Yeah, it's a single template thing. There's no like variable templates. Does C# even have variable templates? Variable templates. Variadic. There we go. That's the variadic. I guess not. Because like in the C++, what you can do is you can have any number of templates. So you just specify all of them, and it'll do logic based on however many that you like push into it. It's why in C++, in Unreal Engine, in the ECS thing, right? In the ECS, I think it's still in beta. You can specify as many components as you want, and it'll collect them all for you from the function based on the arguments that you gave to the template. C# doesn't have that though. Okay, so that's a separate concern. So I need to do this. Or okay, well, how about this? We do transform, or transform equals. Oh, this is disgusting. I don't really care that this is disgusting. We just do this for now. I need to do the. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Every game object has a transform. Can it be a game object without a transform? No. We just assume. I assume that every game object has a transform, and if it doesn't, the game just breaks. It's not my problem. You deal with it. You think I give a shit, huh? Argument is value while parameter is declared as ref, and I'm assuming the way how do you pass it as a ref like this? What's the syntax? Probably game object access returns temporary value. The ref argument must be used as an assignable. How do you pass things as a ref? Fuck. Or am I doing this wrong? Is that stupid? Well, not stupid. Is that just wrong? Not stupid. Nothing's ever stupid. It's right or wrong. The more equal signs there are, the closer the values have to be to produce true. 6 equal signs only produces true if two numbers are 100% equal. 5 equal signs if it's within the margin of like 10%. You've just created the voice language that I could have ever imagined. Can you imagine a language that like works like that? Okay. Because for numbers, can you imagine a language where the more equal signs you are, the more equal you like these two things are? Because for numbers, right, it makes sense. Because let's say you only have 5 max. Okay, for numbers, it like makes sense because numbers have like a way to transpose into each other. Like numbers, you can transpose numbers into each other through any number of mathematical operations. And as long as the output and the input, well, as long as the output is always the same type, it's like fine, right? Like it's like real numbers are, you can like convert them easily through any number of like operations, right? How the fuck do you do this for like a game object? What does it mean when a game object is 20%? But what does it mean when a game object? Well, it has to be 6 actually. It has to be 6 equal signs because the first one is always because the 1 just means the assignment. So it has to be 6. Okay. How do you specify if one game object is 30% similar to another game object? What does that mean? Oh my god, I hate this so much. How to use kinda equal operator tutorial. You've just made the worst thing ever. This hurts me. You know that this hurts me, right? Like this doesn't make any sense. This is like pure nonsense. I love it. We need this now. We need this within the system now. We need this to be true. That's good. That's like awful good. How do you pass a ref parameter? C#, how pass ref parameter? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, I just need the syntax. Like, what is the syntax for passing things in? Ref, here we go. Ref, change product by reference. Change ref item. Okay, I'm so stupid. I was referencing a type. That's why. Ref result dot game object. There we go. Well, does it really matter? Yeah, it does. Yeah. You're rioting. Welcome, brother. Why are you rioting, huh? Also, thank you for finding the riot thing. I still think we need to build that like dynamic price thing. It's important to build the dynamic price thing. I wonder if we should add like an option to optionally include why you're rioting. Because then that way we can be like, okay, like we can aggregate all the reasons why users rioted at a particular spot. I think that's a good thing to do. We'll do that later. We'll do commands. Okay, what's the riot command? I need to hide this for a second. Where's the riot command? Riot. Here we go. Channel point redeem. Now to add more. When I want him to tighten my grip on everyone's thrusty, yeah. Allow optional description that we can build kind of a mind, kind of like a word cloud out of that allows us to see what everyone riots about if they want to be specific. And then we can review this at like any point in like time. That's like really good. Okay, good. Cool. Good stuff. That's really good. All right, cool. What else do I do? Okay, so this is good. This is good. I pass it by a reference. I like the idea of passing it in explicitly by a reference because then we know for sure why it needs it. Otherwise, you can accidentally pass in a value and then it wouldn't work. Like this explicitly needs a reference, so it's good to mark it as needing a reference. You then update it. When you're done plowing, though, I need to save this. I need to save this thing somewhere so that I know when to update it. However, is a component a reference? I think it is, right? I think it is. I have it as a property just to view it, but you shouldn't set it here. It's just for me to view the value. So, okay, so wait. And plow equals thing. Land movement controller. Yeah. No, you have to set this. Yeah, right. Sorry. It's supposed to be set separately. And then if it's released, so input.released, action was pressed but now is not, so you're no longer plowing something. Yeah, so if you're no longer plowing something, then we would just release it. So it's like land movement controller dot restore. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, there's no point in this being a separate function. I really should have just done this all in one thing, but oh well. So we've done the update. We update the rotation of it to whatever it is. Now this thing needs to calculate a push force. So, okay. And then is plowing equals true. So now we're plowing something. So it won't call this ever again. So the next time that in the next frame, what's going to happen is that it's going to... Now it needs to do the push. Okay, well, maybe it's better that way, so it's not, like, convoluted. So private void. Oh, God. What's the code style now, huh? What's this shit? All right, fine. Private void. Push. Plow target. That's good. So when it's no longer... If it's plowing, then we just do everything that we need. Else... we do plow target. Okay. I don't think we can get everything done. I have to go very, very soon. I'm actually going kind of over, and I kind of want to go now because I have to go soon anyways. But we're on the right track. What did we do today? We got most of it done. We answered some very key questions about the game design. We expanded the scope of the game. I need to update the schedule for next time when we do this, which I'll do offline. We got most of this done. We need to be able to handle forces. Need to be sticky enough. Make it mostly follow... Oh... Wait. I mean, this is... I said that. Why did I say I didn't say that? So I already had this in here. So... Like, we have a lot of this done, and we actually got decently far, but not far enough to where we have answers yet. We need to keep on going. But we have most of this done in terms of, like, what the game is. And then basically everything else is just a matter of, like, building out these prefabs, right? Because once you build these models, once you build these 4 components, this is the entire game. Realistically, if you look at it, right? Then you just need to handle the transform feature, you need to calculate the direction of the transform onto the game object, but everything has a transform. This is all you need for this game. It's a very simple game. And then we just need to polish it over the next 2 weeks, as well as do some extra like stuff, like add actual things here. It's not that bad. The game is very simple, which allows us to do a lot. Easy to build within a week for the game jam. 2 weeks to polish. We submit it to the game jam. Gary likes my thing. He hires me. That's the plan. I'm done, chat. We did enough. We did a fair amount, okay? We did actually a fair amount. We solved a couple of questions. We learned more about the engine. I think we're mostly done, actually. Once I figure out how to calculate all the stuff, so now I need to calculate the push force and all the stuff here, we can then, and how to interact with the physics engine, we can then do everything else that we need, which is nice. Which is very, very handy. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Once we do this, the game is basically done. Because then we just push whatever is in front of us that can be pushed. We then build out a bunch of prefabs. We're good to go. Then we just build out the level. Then from that point on, that polish step is where it's mostly a make the game look pretty, and we can put whatever graphics we want, whatever style. That's when we sort of brainstorm on what style we want for the game. I think that's good. You know, we actually did the good today, chat. We did very, very good today. But boy, oh boy, was this weird and complicated. Thankfully, didn't take too long. Only 3 hours. We got most of the way there. So see you next time. s&box is a very interesting engine. I see some minor things with it, but at the same time, those issues are so minor that it doesn't really matter. Aside from the networking and being able to store the structures in some stable place, like the places example. Again, this idea of like a giant game world that's shared. Aside from that, everything else seems durable. It's a surprisingly capable editor. I can see how people were able to make stuff like My Summer College and like stuff now. And it's also really nice too to have such a fast hot reload cycle, because quite literally, sometimes I don't even notice that I'm doing things in the play mode. Sometimes I just do things and then I forget that we're in the play mode, so we lose all of our changes. And the hot reload hasn't broken so far to where we need to stop the play button, go back into the play mode. Like, we've been able to stay in play mode for significant bouts of the development. That has a huge effect on your development pace, because you're not waiting for things to build, you're not waiting for things to bake in. You just immediately hit play, it updates automatically, and then you just go. You keep iterating it. You keep iterating on ideas that you have. You keep iterating on concepts that they have, turning them into something, and then you get out of it because you're going to build like the final product now, which is nice. It's a very, very capable editor. I'm actually surprised at how much they've done. I can see why they're very hopeful for this thing to turn into something major, right? I mean, from the blog post yesterday that we read, Gary is really hoping, I mean, the entire team, I'm assuming, is hoping to make the platform actually work. And I think with the editor being the way it is, it's really, really good. Like, it's a great development flow that I think they're actually onto something that it can definitely work. And because it's a Source engine, Source 2, that has, you know, the backing of Dota 2, that has the backing of Half-Life Alyx, that now has the backing of Counter-Strike 2, I'm assuming, unless it's a branch behind, means that the case of a catastrophic error showing up, the case of it not working in some way that's important to a type of game, is probably very minimal, especially when you consider that 3 very diverse types of games have been made in it, right? Half-Life Alyx is technically a first-person shooter, but it's a VR game, so it's like a whole different thing. CS is a first-person shooter, and then Dota 2 is a MOBA. And then I'm assuming because Dota 2 is made on it, Artifact as well as Dota Underlords is made within Source 2 too. So you have this whole different genre of game that has similar elements but still can do something else as well. It seems like there's a lot of capability here, right? I'm liking this. It's fun. I'm really hating the game jam format just because I hate pressure, but I really enjoy the game jam format because it's a good way to stress test this and provide like a hard limit on how much you can do. So I enjoy that they made it open. I enjoy that they made a game jam for it. It gives you some incentive to like do it, which then leads you to discovering this very good like game engine. Even though I've been excited for it even before then, I can see how they were able to use the game jam probably to entice people who probably weren't excited for it but want to make money into using it and then dogfooding it for them. It's a very, very good concept. They're onto something here. They're onto something here. I just hate C sharp. I think I just hate programming. I think I'm like over programming and I just want to be a streamer now, which is bad because I want to make money. So hey, we'll figure that out next time. Tomorrow, we should be able to figure out the rest of the system. We can probably finish the entire game by tomorrow because, as you see, the game is very simple. It's really only these five components and these four components and you're good to go. And this handles all the logic that you need to do. From there, it's just polish and adding more things, right? Obviously, the new things may need more components, like the ability to walk over something to pick it up, like in these collectibles, or eating the food to change the color of your poop, to change the color of the snow, that sort of stuff, right? But that's a whole different thing, as well as the idea of having to zone off the scene towards only your like party, that we don't have to deal with because that's within a different type of game that has to be like the Pixels game where it's a global game, but that's not possible because the game has a max of 64 players and there's no custom server stuff. So it's pretty much done. That's actually pretty cool. If you want to play with this yourself again, go to s&box.com. What's the website again? s-box.game. You can go to the game jam the game jam link. It's probably the easiest way to find where to get S-Box because I don't see any link on the homepage. I actually don't know where you would go from here. Because otherwise you have to go to the news post, know that the link is within the news post, versus just going to this link and then clicking on this button, which then makes it easier. So go here, click on the Game Jam icon on the top right, click here, get the S-Box. Realize it's not really a game at the moment, it's really just a platform that's open for a game, and the game itself doesn't really have a game experience built in, except for the things that they built as a I'm assuming a way to test it. So like the Bomberman game, the whatever this first person shooter is, which I don't even think is actually available on the thing, because apparently this is just a framework. So I don't even know if it's there. But if it is, right, you get very limited games on here. Think of it more as a development tool for you right now. Again, it literally says developer preview. But if you want to see what they're cooking up and see another space in this, see another entry, a new competitor in the game editor space, I think it's worth checking out, right? Again, after the Unity 3D debacle, it's interesting to sort of see the reactions across the internet to that. And even though this didn't necessarily come from that, I think it's interesting to sort of take that energy that some people might still have about Unity 3D. And now you have more choice than Epic Games and Godot. You also have this. I'm curious to see where this goes, though, because Godot is picking up a lot. And Godot is actually very easy to use, too. But the fact that this comes in with a built-in lobby system as well as a backend for leaderboard stuff and scores and I'm assuming data storage, hey, you get a lot out of the box from a server-side perspective, from a networking perspective, that you wouldn't get from something like... Because Godot is not a platform, it's just an editor, right? Whereas this is also like an editor that has an integration with an existing platform. I think they're onto something here. Please do check it out yourself. If you make $20,000, split 50-50 with me. Whatever prize you get, €1,000, split 50-50. In Canadian, this is enough to pay me for like an entire year. So, remember me when you download this. That's all for this session of S&box. We will finish this game by tomorrow from a purely functional perspective. And I hate streaming programming, but boy is it good when sometimes chat comes up with good ideas, and it's great as a devlog too. I just hate it. There's so much pressure. Here's a life lesson for you, okay? If you want to make money, don't fuck around and read the terms and conditions, okay? I may be the first person to read the terms and conditions of the S&box game jam, but imagine how many people are going to enter their older game, not realizing that if they already entered it in an older game jam, it won't work. Imagine how many people are going to run into this legal loophole. Because what happens when you do that and they make an exception for it? Because they can make exceptions for it, right? Well, then what happens when somebody calls this out? Like, this is a headache. This is a headache. This is going to be a headache for them to do because it doesn't state very clearly here that it must not have been in a previous place very easily. And somebody's going to do it, and then somebody's going to do it, and then they're going to have to figure out how to tell them, hey, sorry, but no, this doesn't work. They have to check. It's like, oh, man, this is a whole mess. Somebody's going to be bitten by this, and, you know, they can be mad about it to make a shitstorm. Even though they're in the wrong, I worry that they're going to have to deal with it. Rule 11, fuck Canadians. Rule 12, your name is Sticky. You're not allowed because the Twitch chat messes you out. You a fucker. I'm going to change my... I'm going to rebrand at some point, chat. At some point, my character will be rebranded into a new character. Anyways, that's all for today. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow when we finish this off. I'm going to go clean up, eat, and then sleep because I'm tired. Bye, everyone. Have a good day. And get out of here. Enjoy the sign-off on the music for like 2 seconds. Yeah, probably should have been older game is fine as long as it's not in the previous contest. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? Because it's like somebody's gonna read this and then be like, okay, like my older game is fine, but they entered it and they didn't win the previous game jam, but they improved the game. Well, guess what, buddy? You like imagine if you were never making your game. And you weren't there like making your game, right? Like you submitted it thinking that your game was fine, but I'm assuming they're not going to check until the day of the contest ending. And you don't know to make a new game because you're too lazy to read the full terms, right? I still think it's your responsibility to read the full terms, but I also recognize that some people are going to be annoyed that it wasn't very clear here in a very easily readable way. Because for a lot of people, reading through this might be annoying. To be fair, though, this is only 53 lines, which for a legal document is really easy. So that's on you. Read the terms. I'm getting out of here. See you. I'm tired.